Let's do it. Boom.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome Saturday night.
Saturday night?
What do you think about that? Like Saturday Night Fever. And I'm going to tell you something right off the bat, right? Before we even get started on talking about anything, I want to thank you guys for being so active in the chat room. I think like 2 hours ago, there was like 4 or 5 people in the chat room.
Oh, dude, as soon as I put it up, that people are in there.
So you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. And before we started, we had 2 super chats.
Boom.
You guys know that Saturday night, a lot is about your super chats and me answering your questions. You guys kind of, build the narrative of what I am talking about. Oftentimes, I have like a story that I want to tell. I don't think I've
never finished one.
I've never finished the story because you guys crush the super chats so much. So just because you guys we had, I think, 3 super chats before we even like started. We're just going to hit them and then we're going to get into other things. So thank you guys again for not only super chats, but the people just in the chat room killing it. Thank you to our mods, obviously Potterhead and Mac and Heidi. You guys are awesome as well. So without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this. You guys are lovely and I appreciate you.
Yes, we do. Seth says, hey, Brian and Jay, can't make the podcast, but going to send some love. Can't wait to come back. I guess these were these the people that you were with maybe? I don't know. But it says, can't wait to come back. Also, thoughts on any African rock pythons and if you'd consider adding one to the Reptarium. Funny enough.
Yeah, so by the way, yes, I think these are people that I was with this afternoon. No problem at all. I told you it was an open invitation. So I'm so thankful that you came out, had a great time. Literally, great time with you guys.
Yeah,
you
he was
guys
just saying about that.
Yeah, I was just literally telling Jay before he asked me how the tour was, and I was like, oh my God, they were so nice. They were such great people. And yeah, we've talked about, today. We just filmed it,
literally
right?
Today,
we just literally filmed about potentially, when you really think of the giant snakes, right? You think of African rock pythons, Burmese pythons, reticulated pythons, anacondas, and really there are scrub pythons as well. So
I seen a giant scrub the other day, dude.
Yeah, so here's like an African rock python here. And they're great. I used to breed them. I produced rock pythons in the past. And I had a female that lasted 20 plus years. Her name was Baby, and she was literally, when you open the cage, she hissed so loud it sounded like a freight train was coming.
No way. That's
unbelievable.
Crazy.
I was the only person that would ever handle her. Everyone was terrified of her. So I would like to get another rock python, absolutely. And then, do you have a picture of that big scrubby?
This is a big scrubby, but
oh my God, look at that picture right there. Is that
crazy?
That a scrubbed right there?
I think so. And then is this one right here?
Yeah, that's one right there.
Look at the size of it. That's crazy.
So the Australian scrubs, I think they're called king horneye, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be wrong because I'm not a scrub expert. They would be a great thing too. And I don't know if you can get the giant scrubs or not. I don't know enough about them. We should talk to Stephen Cush.
Yes,
because Stephen is a scrub master,
scrub lord.
But he has a lot of the Indonesian localities.
And which one are the ones that got bigger?
The Australians.
Okay,
the
makes
Australians,
sense.
And I thought they were called king horneye, but I could be wrong. They're amazing. So it would be great to have really all 5 of the giants represented. Certainly the 4 are easy. We have retics, we have anacondas, we have Burmese. All we need is a rock python. Pretty easy.
King horneye,
yeah, king horneye. So yeah, I remember going to Eugene Bessette's, who is Ophiological Services, which is a great old timer. I think he was the first person. I know he was the first person in the country to quit his job to become a snake breeder.
Get out!
Very first person ever. He was a mailman. And
wow.
And he quit his job as a mailman to become a snake breeder, and all these years later, he's still crushing it. I mean, he's still doing great,
so cool.
And but I remember visiting his place. He had a really interesting place outside, right near Gainesville, Florida, and I think he lives in Archer, which is like right next to it, if I'm not mistaken. And the first time I visited him recently, and his facility is now like this whole building is his facility, and it's cool. It was his house when I visited, and it just literally had a bedroom and a kitchen, and everything else was snakes.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what I'm talking about.
He legitimately, I'm not shitting you. There was a couch with a little TV. The back of the couch was a snake rack with gaboon vipers in it.
That's the scariest thing I've ever heard.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, but back then he had some king horneye that were giants. I mean, they were like 15, 18 footers. And I had never seen a scrubby that big before, and I was like, oh my gosh. But like I said, I don't know if anyone is breeding them now. I don't know. If they are, I would love to get one because I think that would be a great representation.
And I know they're a little crazy, but like we don't have to, it's not like every single one of our snakes come out.
Listen, I don't know how I would get this.
What are you thinking?
There's a guy named, just Google this just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
Just Google Chris Smith scrub python. Again, you can even have Australian. And I think it was a K, actually. Chris with a K. Yeah, there we go. I'm just curious if it'll come up or not. You know, I mean, it may or may not. Just do video or images, I mean.
All right, let's see.
And just see if it comes up. Because he has one he's called the Crank. That's Chris, by the way.
Is it?
That's it. That's Chris's.
Hey, we found it.
Now, that's not Chris himself in the picture, but that's the Crankin.
And is this Chris here?
Chris is the one with the beard. Yeah.
Okay.
That's Chris.
I feel like I've met him
He's a
before.
good buddy of mine.
Interesting.
He's a good dude, man. He's one of my boys down there in Australia. But anyways, yes. So I know that was a long-winded thing, but yes.
we just happened to talk about it today, so that's why you got lucky with the long answer.
I was loving it. Yeah, so Seth, that was awesome. Thank you, man.
Nick says, hey, Brian and Jay, quick question. Can I keep Amazon tree boas together?
Yeah, I mean, sure, absolutely. I wouldn't keep two males together, but you can keep a male and a female or a group 1.3 or something like that. Now, keeping in mind, whenever you're communally keeping animals, it's going to be more difficult to keep them, right?
Yeah.
There's maybe a little bit higher stress, trying to really individually understand which one is eating which way and stuff like that. It's more challenging. So I think that if you can keep them separate, it's better. But that doesn't mean you can't, and there are certainly people that do it. So, I mean, we right now have Gherkin and Pickles together, the green tree pythons, and they both took meals yesterday, by the way. So it's just a little bit, it's just keep them apart when they're eating and stuff like that. But sure, you can keep. Amazons aren't really territorial. Again, males could do some combating, which is not a good thing during the breeding season. So try to keep them separate for that.
Let Roses Burn says, gotta be first tonight.
You
missed out.
I'm sorry. You almost did. There was two or three before we even started. So
she's the first one when it started.
So you were the first one after we started. So thank you so much.
And you beat Mac, who usually crushes it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Mac, you're lazy today, man. I'm sorry,
My
brother.
boy.
No, I love you, Mac. But no, Let Roses Burn. Thank you so much. You've been such. So many of you guys have been such amazing supporters of us for since we started, which has been a year ago. It's crazy to think about it, and I wonder where the future, we're of the podcast is going. I change a lot of my concepts. I mean, obviously this Saturday Night Solo wasn't even a thing until a month and a half ago.
Yeah, I know.
But I do think that we're probably pretty close, and I'd like to know from you guys. Let me know in the comments after this is up, as well as let me know in the super chats, or I'm not super chats, but just chat room now, what you guys think about the Zoom thing. So I've not been a big fan of some of the Zoom podcasts, and not that I shouldn't say that. I like some of the Zoom podcasts. I enjoy a lot of my friends, whether it's, Mutation Creation or obviously MJ's. And I mean, there's so many of them, our buddies over at Snake Talk with, or Reptile Talk with Jeremy and Rob over at Nerd. I mean, there's so many great podcasts, reptile related podcasts that do StreamYard or something like that. What I'm not a fan of is, you guys know that I like to do things super pro. I want to be like
the bomb,
as professional as I could be. IEY built a big studio and the control room and done all this stuff. So we are really on the cusp of, again, having the technology with equipment that we're testing out right now to do Zooms that would be much higher quality, right? I mean, between audio, video, like the Joe Rogans, right?
Yeah, the Joe Rogans,
the Joe Rogans. Right now we have the exact same gear that he has testing that he uses. So when you do Zoom calls in, they're a little bit more, but they're still not sitting across the table from you.
Yeah, there's that little bit of disconnect.
You're not reading the body language and stuff like that. But let me know what you guys think about it if you want that, because I want to bring on I'm sure you'll see some of the similar characters that you see on other podcasts, but I find that a lot of the reptile podcasts do recycle a lot of the same people.
So you get the same stories almost, right?
So I want to try to bring in some different people, not just, reptile people and animal people, but also, like celebrity type people, you know what I mean? Like people that I'm sure, hopefully I could get my buddy Brett Burns from
Minnesota Wild.
That was old school.
It's old school, baby.
San Jose Sharks on. I can, I could probably get Kerry King from Slayer on. Maybe Slash, certainly Coyote, Peterson. And I also would like to bring on, Tyler and Chandler and Joey from King of DIY and all these other people too. Not to mention I've got some other YouTube friends that I think that I can get on. that had big followings. So, bring it in, bring a little bit, but let me know what you guys think. I don't know. You know, I just want this podcast to do well. I want it to be amazing, but I also want you guys to be happy with it.
Yeah, because you guys are the core.
Right,
man.
yeah. If you guys are like, hey, Brian, I'd rather you be where you're at and just chit-chat with us like you do now on Saturday nights, I'm okay with that. We're fine. We don't have to do something that's not going to work, or we add another night, right? Maybe Saturday nights are the nights that we're just me talking to you and answering your super chats, and go on from there. So you guys let me know. Let me know what you think.
Silver Cash, he just got off of work.
Silver
Cash said, "What's up, baby?"
I guarantee he was breeding rodents.
Yeah,
he was. He was
scrubbing tubs,
and no, but Silver Cash, you're the best, man. Thank you so much, man. You're awesome. Well, you guys are all awesome, but this is Silver Cash has been with us for 2-3 weeks now.
At least that, maybe even 2-3-4 weeks, something like that. Yeah,
and he's been really stepping up.
He's a sweetheart.
So I can't, you got to come visit us, brother. I mean, it's just like you're doing so much for us, so can't wait to get you up here.
Adventures with Tegan says, live close to Reptile Land in PA. You all should make a stop here. Drinks on me. It's pretty much buy and Arizona iced tea, but that's fine.
Yeah, buy and Arizona iced tea. I don't drink, but
I don't drink either.
But yeah, I'll be okay to hang out with you. I've been to Reptile Land many times.
I have not actually.
I know the owners, Clyde and his son, and they've been very gracious to me. Every time I've been there, I love it. I think it's the oldest reptile zoo in the country, if I'm not mistaken.
It's not by East Stroudsburg or anything, is it? Do you know?
I don't recall the exact area it is. But if you were going across I-80, towards New Jersey,
I think I might have actually been here before that.
You would literally drive past. You could see the signs, Reptile. As a matter of fact, I have the book of the making of Reptile Land in my office.
Yeah, I think I have been here before.
So it's a very cool place, man. It's been around forever. Like I said, Clyde is the original guy. It's interesting. His son runs it now, but Clyde is there like pretty much, or Clive, not Clyde. Clive is there almost every day.
Really?
I mean, he's still there. I think he's like 80-something years old, and he's at the zoo every single day, and he loves it. And it's, oh my gosh, Lori would die about this gift. The gift shop is bigger than like 2.0.
No. Are you for real?
Yeah, the gift shop is bigger than 2.0. So it's actually a pretty big zoo, not a ton of animals.
Okay.
No interaction. Zero.
Yeah, I think you just kind of look at stuff, right?
You cannot touch anything. It's an AZA zoo. So it's a small AZA zoo, but they've been with the AZA for a long time, and it's a cool place to look and see stuff, but definitely everything is off limits.
Silver Cash came back through $50,
Man,
let's make today awesome. Definitely enjoy Super Chats and the Boston accent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Jay's better at the Boston accent.
Boston.
I got the car, I got the car and stuff like that. But
khakis.
Yeah, but it's a good Boston. Well, obviously he's from the area. It's Mark Wahlberg.
Oh my God!
Like I love
it's super classic.
When he does the movies with his actual Boston accent,
like Ted.
Or like really, to be honest with you, I think the best one was the one with the boat, The Perfect Storm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I watched that movie so many times.
It makes me laugh.
And that was some good stuff. So yeah.
Tyler King says King Horneye are the Australian ones. Yeah. Yes, as far as I'm aware, they aren't available in the States. I have a Somalia Amethystina, which is off PNG. And this is Tyler that came in on Noah's podcast.
Oh, okay.
From Montana.
Ah, cool. Yeah. So no King Horneye. So why? I wonder. They were in the country before, so I'm just wondering if maybe when they died out, they were gone forever or something like that.
Interesting.
That's too bad, man, because that would be impressive. Like I said, Eugene had King Horneye because they were giants. I mean, they were huge. They were like Burmese almost,
Which is crazy to think about.
So if anyone does, I mean, Tyler, if you know anyone or if you've ever heard of anyone that legally has them, I don't want any illegal animals.
Yeah, please no.
Because you got here, I'll ship you some from Australia.
Yeah, we'll put it in a small box.
No, thank you.
Tiffany says, so, video idea for you, Brian.
Oh my God, let's do it.
Okay. And I honestly really like this, and I think I have a way to do it. So it says...
so tell me, and let's just brainstorm this out right now. Let's
it says, let's do this, all right? So we get to see your babies all the time, so all your animals.
Yes.
Well, I want to see you do a video on our babies. Guess the ages, genes, etc. Much love. And I think what we do is we set it up almost similar to Over Underrated.
Yeah.
Where you have maybe the picture on your phone. I'll put the picture up on the screen. Put from who it's from, and then maybe you try to guess the morph or whatever it is, or something like that. I think it would be cool.
So Tiffany, this is the deal with that, is that I would have to know the parents, okay? Because it would be impossible, literally impossible for anyone, even that is the Kevin McCurley, who's probably the best guru on, he couldn't guess genes of animals that
without
having any. I mean, I could come close. I could be like, there's lesser in there. There's pinstripe. Obviously, but when you start getting into all these morphs, I would do it and I'd be happy to. But I remember me and Kevin and I should say, did this in Texas once, live.
Oh, get out.
And he brought a slideshow of like 50 snakes that he had hatched, and he would put the slide up and then I'd have to guess. It's impossible. I don't care. I mean, Bumblebee, of course. This, of course.
But when you get into like fires, orange dreams,
when you start getting into Mackenzie or Hoffman or this or it's no one's getting that stuff. I mean, no matter how good you are. So that would be the only caveat to it. And I think the idea is great. But I would need to know who the mom and dad is, just so that I have a shot, to at least get close, because it'd be impossible if I didn't.
Yeah. So if you guys want to try to do something like that, send it to me on Instagram, and I will try to curate something, because I think it could be something that'd be fun to do, make the viewers happy. So we'll try it out. We'll see what happens.
At Jay Tomsky.
Wendy says, "Hi, Brian and Jay. This is for Wendy. The Otter Fund. Have an amazing Saturday evening."
Wendy, you're great. I know.
I can't wait for these otters, dude.
Yeah, I tell you what. Let's just pull up some small clawed. Small clawed.
Is it an
Asian small clawed? There it is, right in the front.
I know, because I've been looking at them, dude.
Let's just take a minute. Let's just take a minute.
The utterly adorable hour, dude.
Gosh,
hello. This is a good one, dude. That's a really good picture too.
Yeah, you tell me Lori isn't gonna fall in love with these, right?
Dude, immediately.
Like Lori ain't coming home when we get these.
I feel like she's already in love with them. She just doesn't want to admit it.
Look at this, man.
This is a ferret dog. You know what I mean? Like, look at that.
Speaking of ferrets, that they just did. Can you do like black clawed ferret clone?
No.
Yeah, black clawed ferret clone, and then maybe news. Is there news? No,
it should be.
They just raised they just. Oh no, that's a
Jedi Council.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. Anyways, point is that they just cloned a black cloud river or black cloud ferret that are on the edge of extinction. There's only a handful left.
That's huge.
And they took DNA from a 30-year-old animal to infuse with the new thing to start a brand new black cloud ferret.
That's colony, pretty much. Yeah, that's so cool.
And I think it was the first time that they've been able to take a old animal and clone it like that. There's the very first first mammal. So I think that's like on the road to woolly mammoth.
Yeah, dude. 5.0, Reptarian 5.0. Look out.
Yeah, woolly.
With this water bear. Christina threw $5, gave a high five. Appreciate you, Christina.
Bam, Christina. What's up, girl?
Simple Man.
Simple Man's back.
The way you handled having animal control called on you was epic. It was, too. It was my favorite.
Did you like that? So listen, I wanted to really, I'm not a vindictive guy.
No,
I'm not at all. But I did want to kind of rub that in a little bit, because I know that it was some, keyboard warrior. And it may have been this one particular comment that I had on a video. They were like, this disgusts me, you keeping this sloth in a cupboard.
A cupboard.
Literally a cupboard.
Bigger
is what
than
they said.
House.
They said, it gets, this, blah, 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 all around. And my response was just like, and by it said, America disgusts me, because it was like someone from, somewhere. And so my response was just like, I guarantee in your country, there is a zoo that has a sloth in a smaller exhibit than mine. Because we've got a 12 by 12 room for this sloth, right? Which is huge. 90% of the zoos I've seen with sloths, enclosures are much smaller than ours. And so and then like 2 days later, the animal control showed up. So I'm pretty sure it was that person. They did say it was an anonymous call. And the animal control just has to, when they get an anonymous warning, they have to go do it. That's their job. But it was funny because obviously the one animal control, ironically enough, had been here right after we opened, because someone called and said Daisy had mouth rot, which has been the internet thing. She's had mouth rot for 20 years, or she's only been alive for 12, but she's had it for 20. And so of course animal control came out then. And she said, obviously the snakes were all great. She looked around. She goes, and by the way, one of my colleagues loves your stuff, and he was bummed that he couldn't come out. Well, he came out that time, this time, and so she had already been out. This guy came out for the first time, and he was basically like, "Oh, I was so excited. We knew you were going to keep your stuff great." They came in, they took selfies with the sloth. He wanted to feed the alligators, but we let him feed Nova and a couple other things, and they were great. I mean, they were wonderful. And he's like, "Oh, I'll be back just to hang out." And I'm like, "You can come back anytime." So it's just it's pathetic that someone thinks that they could call the animal control and somehow hurt us because we do everything by the book. And we have our vet is next door to us now. I mean, is moving next door, and we do everything as good as possible. That doesn't mean that we don't have problems from time to time. Certainly we do. But it's just so I wanted to kind of throw it in their face with the sense of like, hey, by the way, thanks for calling because now we're even in better relationship with our animal control. Now we're on like first name basis. So this is great. You did me a favor. So I'm glad that you enjoyed my my little bit of a stab in the person's face.
Hell yeah, me too. I enjoyed it a lot. Laura says, hey, there's a scrub who's about 20 foot in Oz.
Holy moly, man! Yeah. Well, it wouldn't surprise me,
That's crazy to me, man.
Obviously they can get huge. I mean, 4 meters is not that
far off.
Yeah, far off on things. So and there's a lot of land out there in Oz. I mean, it's like people don't realize how remote Australia is. When you get, it's the size of America with 10% of the population,
right?
And then that 10% of the population, 90% of that population is long in Sydney, Queensland, Perth, Victoria, down in Melbourne, in South Australia. So it's really just all along the coast. So you get past the Blue Mountains on the east side, or you get past the Kimberleys, or something. Even the Kimberleys are very rare, or very remote. And then Darwin is the biggest city up north. And obviously the 2 big cities in NT, Northern Territory, are Alice Springs and Darwin, and those are both very, very small populations. I've been to both and spent much time there, and it's surprising how remote those areas are. And then the rest of Australia is just barren. I mean, there's like nothing, So who knows what's out there in the outback? Right. I mean, size. And I mean, look at the Oenpelli python, right? The Oenpellis hadn't been found for 30 years, and same thing with Ruffy pythons, the Carinata. They thought they were extinct. There was a preserved specimen, I think in the 50s, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that they thought that was the last known Carinata in existence, and then a guy named Johnny Weigel set out on an expedition, which was a crazy expedition. He told me about it. You would have to like helicopter to a spot, then you would have to it was like you had to drive, then helicopter. It was like all kinds of stuff. And at one point they literally got trapped because floods came, and the road they came in was flooded out.
Oh man!
It wasn't a road; it was like a trail that they were going off. And he said they spent like 10 days trapped.
What?
And like he was like, we were running out of food.
Yeah, for sure.
And this was all to find Ruffies, and he ended up finding them. He ended up getting them, and then ultimately bred them. And when they were first bred, they were big bucks. Even when they came over to America, they came in. I believe they came into Reptile Gardens actually. On a trade, and then ultimately got sold to the private sector. But even then, I think they were $15,000 a pair. Now in Australia, they're like $100. Even in America now, I think they're $500 or maybe $700. I don't quote me on it. I could be wrong. I haven't followed the market, but I know the price has come down. So this is an animal that literally was thought to be extinct 12 years ago.
Wow! And
now you can buy in Australia for $100.
That's strange, right?
And then interestingly enough, these were found in Arnhem Land, and interestingly enough, Gavin Bedford did a similar expedition for Oenpelli, which were not considered extinct, but were not in captivity anymore. What happened was there was a handful of them in private collections, and the government seized them all. This is back like 30 years ago, and then they died off. I think there was one specimen left in a zoo, and then Gavin Bedford, got permission from the Aboriginals to go into Arnhem Land to try to find them, and he partnered up with the Aboriginals and said, if I find them and breed them, we'll split the profit. And that's how he got the deal with them. And he ended up finding, I think he had permits for 3 pair, and I think he ended up finding all 3 pair eventually. And then ultimately, like a year later, he produced the very first captive Oenpelli python since, way back in the day. And Oenpellis are even more impressive than scrubbies, than kinghorn eye. They're not as big around, but they can get 15, 16 foot.
Oh, wow.
So I was up at Gavin's place up in Darwin, Yeah, you can search this up. Owen Pelly pythons. Yeah, there you go. That's right there. See what we got. Yeah, there you go.
Wow, they're beautiful.
And I wonder, yeah, they're really amazing animals. And this is probably, I would have to be.
What are they related to carpet pythons? They look
so
very
see
similar.
the guy in the hat down at the left, no, right there. That's Gavin Bedford.
Oh wow,
that's cool my buddy Gavin. And Gavin used to be the head of the Crocosaurus Cove. Where the Cage of Death is.
Yeah. So, I remember that.
So Gav and Gav was the one that I went out and caught my very first frill dragon from.
No way. How cool is that?
Yeah. And so I'll tell you a story real quick, and then we'll move on to some more super chats. Keep the super chats coming, guys. Gavin, we were at Crocosaurus Cove, and Gavin was like, hey, I want to take you to go see the Owen Pelly pythons. And we were with a group of like 10 people, but he wouldn't let. He's like, only you can come, Brian. Like, only you can come. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. And so we went, and I got a chance to hold the Owen Pellies. Like I said, these 15-foot, bizarre, unbelievably weird animals. And then he said, hey, have you ever caught a frill dragon? And I said, no. And Gavin actually is a PhD in herpetology, and he did his thesis on frill dragons. So he goes, I can take you out and we can go get one. And I'm like, awesome. He literally pulls up to a school. There are kids playing soccer in the background.
Yeah.
And he literally pulls up and he says, see that tree right over there? There's one in that tree.
No.
And I'm like, what? I'm thinking he's going to take me into the bush, into the wild, and we're in this park. And literally, we park, we get, and sure enough, that's where I caught my first.
That's so funny because it's similar to like when you were at the golf course looking for those water monitors,
exactly,
right? You're like, why am I here?
But
it makes sense, right? Like, I mean, the college that's down the street, I've seen more deer there than anywhere else in Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Like, some reason they just like to be right on the outskirts of humans a little bit.
Yeah, and it's interesting, but
it's wild.
So yeah, Gavin's a great guy.
Tyler King came back and said that a big sarong barneck would be an awesome display for the zoo. Which,
I wonder how they are beautiful. The sarong barnecks are beautiful.
They are really pretty.
But I think that they're like maybe 8-9 footers.
They're not that big,
and not that big around.
Kind of like this, right? Like,
they'll get a little bit bigger than that, but that's a decent size.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they are beautiful.
I need a king horn eye, man. Get me one, Tyler.
We'll figure it out.
Tyler, go find me one, please.
Cody says
you're not allowed back.
You're not allowed back on the podcast.
You're block him.
Yeah. We'll get him out of here.
No, I'm just kidding, Tyler.
Cody says, "Good evening, Brian and Jay.
Good evening.
Good evening. Doing well on my goal to save money for my trip to finally meet you all.
Awesome.
I think I'm about a third of the way there.
Awesome, man. I can't wait, Cody. Seriously, we're gonna have a great time when you come up.
Man. Oh, dude, I can't wait either.
You'll love it. We have such a good time. I mean, obviously upstairs right now, there's a bunch of kids frolicking,
frolicking with lizards.
And I spent the first hour.
Frog licking.
They're frog licking.
Oh, good.
That's one of the things we do at the zoo.
One of the experiences.
It's the hallucinogens.
They're a hell of a trip.
But I spent the first hour upstairs, 50 minutes upstairs hanging out with people, and it's just magical, man. It's fun.
I know you. We almost started the podcast without Brian because he got caught up there.
Yeah, I literally was up there. I was feeding Toothless with somebody, Toothless climbing up me and stuff like that. Literally like 5 minutes before the podcast started, and I was like, I had to run and grab everything and be like down here and do my social post real quick. Literally, I've never been that close to losing the podcast, but not that it would have mattered if we were 2 minutes late. But anyways,
Becky threw $5 for love. Appreciate
Thank you, Becky. You're up in Canada. I hope things are well up there. I know it sounds like it's like shut down in Canada.
Is it?
It's like lockdown in Canada. Yeah.
Well, hopefully,
and they don't even have that many cases. That's the thing that's weird. That's what I find interesting is how some countries like Australia was like that. Obviously, New Zealand was like that. Canada's like that. They didn't even really get hit that hard, but
they took it very, very seriously. Yeah,
and I think their citizens just buy into it more than we do.
Right. Well, there's more socialist type countries, so like people are kind of in on the same like, hey, let's all be good for each other.
Yeah. And they're in Canada. People are just so kind.
They're so kind. Yeah. We'll do whatever you want.
Yeah. Sorry for everything.
Sorry. I didn't mean to come out here without the mask on.
Sorry.
My bad, bud. Dude, I love it.
I miss my Canadian relatives though. We were just talking about them last night. I was at my mother-in-law's and we're talking about cutting a tree down. Noah. No, this is Noah.
Oh God.
Noah says, I want to go to Grandpa's to learn how to chop a tree down. Now, mind you, this is the guy. No, this is the guy, his grandpa. Yeah. Love him to death. He's my father-in-law. Love him to death. This is the guy that dropped a tree on my brother-in-law's shed.
Oh, good.
And then also on an electrical line, and blew the electrical line out.
Super good.
And this is what my son wants to go learn to chop a tree down. But I have a Canadian relative that's just over the border, can't come across because of COVID, that cuts trees down for a living. And he's a legitimate, like, this dude's a monkey.
And you're in Canada, so, like, you're automatically
he's a lumberjack already. You know, he comes with maple syrup every time I see him.
Dripping. Living Jay says, hey, Brian and Jay, love the solo podcast. I was just wondering why we never see Breadloaf eat on the vlog. Would love to see more of him. Doomerals are so cool. And we have had him eat a couple times.
So yeah, he's not a very, he doesn't often take out of your hands. You usually have to lay it in the cage and then he crawls up to it and eats it. But we have had him do it on the vlog a couple times where he takes it out of my hands. And so he has been a couple times in the vlog, but most of the time you don't. Because of that, you lay it in the cage and then you go back an hour later. It's gone.
Yeah, you would never be sitting there waiting for it to get it.
Yeah.
Josh, our boy Josh Vanellen, he says, thanks for everything you do for this industry. We need to skate soon. I played 3 times this past week.
Fuck you, Josh. So I played.
Yeah.
So Josh, get this, man.
Love you, Josh.
Seriously, we do love you. He got his first clutch of ball pythons, by the way.
Did he?
Congratulations.
Man. That's awesome.
So Josh, I skated last week, dude.
He did?
I did. I skated last Tuesday. Noah and I went out for a drop in hockey. Skated for an hour and a half. It was actually kind of funny because, you know, we told the story on Checking In podcast where, like, I think just because I played hockey my whole life, I'm not what I would consider a super outgoing guy when it comes to, like, if I'm in a social setting. People always are surprised by that, right? Like if I'm somewhere where, like, I'm like, you know, it's a, you know, like a video summit or a reptile summit, I can be very outgoing. But if I'm like at like a wedding, or if I'm at a party that someone's throwing, I'm usually kind of the quiet one that's in the corner, just kind of like not doing much, right? But when it comes to hockey, I think it's just because my whole life I played. Like, I'll go up to anybody, you know what I mean? I'm on the ice. I'm like, hey guys, you want to jump in? Let's go. And so we linked up, and ironically enough, so we linked up with 3 guys. Well, there were 3 guys, and it was me and Noah. And so I went up to him and I said, hey, you guys want to just play some 3-on-2? And one guy was like, hey, my buddy's coming. We're going to have another guy. We go 3-on-3. I said, great. So the dude, you know.
This is the best.
Yeah, the guy skates up. Tall dude, too, man. Like 6-something, good dude. And he's like, are you Brian Barczyk? He's like, oh my God, I've been watching you forever. So it was really cool.
That's a trip, man. I could not imagine like playing hockey with like somebody I looked up to or something. Like just walking over and like, I'm on his team.
It put me on a lot of pressure though, because I'm like, shit. I
got to look good in front of this guy.
Terrible about this. And listen, it's the first time I really skated in quite some time for anything significant. So Josh, I was definitely rusty. And my gosh, dude, here I am. That was Tuesday. This is Saturday. My back still hurts. My back still hurts, man. My body, my calf still hurt. So Josh, I am going out every single Tuesday, and we're going to play hockey. And I'm going to get in shape, and then we can have some fun. But I have a feeling if you've been out 3 times this week, you're going to be a little ahead of me.
Yeah. I think it's Jason or Cisneros, something like that.
Right. Yep.
But they said, my son and I bought a banana pinstripe for BHB last November, and he is freaking awesome. I sent a request on Cameo to you for my son's birthday in March.
Okay, good. Did you just send it?
I'm guessing so. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
So, okay, good. If you sent it, I'm going to do it because I just missed a Cameo to somebody, and I feel terrible about it.
And you know what's funny? He probably does feel terrible about it.
I feel terrible about it. Yeah, I saw the expired Cameo, and I was like, oh, my God.
Because I get
a request that's like, you know, hey, I got this request. And then if I always want to do it at the Reptarium so I can show some animals as I'm talking and stuff like that. For you guys that don't know what Cameo is, you can look me up on Cameo. It's like, you know, you can add like, you know, like let's say you want to buy a Cameo for your son or your brother or your wife or whomever it is, and then it's me shouting out on a video what you want me to say. Basically, it's almost like a teleprompter comes up, and it's not like I read word for word. It's just like my son such and such's birthday is the 12th, and I can go like, hey Kyle, happy birthday, here's Perdita or whatever, you know. And but I get a notification like, hey, you have a Cameo, and then if I don't keep up on it, I forget about it, and it expires after 5 days.
No.
And if it expires, then I feel like I've ruined somebody's
whole life.
Like their whole life will be gone. No, I just feel like I've let them down, and so I will get your son's birthday.
GC Serpents, are you guys still coming to Aquascape? I work there and want to make sure I don't miss you when I visit, or when you visit.
I sure hope so. I really hope so. We want to get out there. The timing is what's going to be key. because we have a lot going on. We're going to go down to Florida. Gatorland is coming up here next week. That's not this next week, but the week after, the Monday after next. So a week from Monday. And then we're going down to Florida the end of March. So I want to come out to Aquascape because I love what you guys are doing there. I think that this new build sand pit thing you've got going on is brilliant, and I want to be a part of filming it. Will I? I don't. I just got to make sure my schedule works, but I sure hope I can get out there. I mean, and if it's, I don't know if you guys are only going till the end of March. I think that's what Greg said. It might be tough for me if it's only that sense. But if you guys go into April, 100%, we're there. 100%.
Sweet. The Her Preacher says, what about a Jay vlog from Jay's POV in the future?
That's up to Jay, man. If he wants to run the board, and
yeah,
I'll run the board. You come in here and
no, a vlog. He said, but that kind of is what.
I kind of see what you're saying.
Isn't that kind of what the vlog is, though? Like,
yeah,
it is literally from my point of view,
POV
of Brian. So that's pretty much the same thing. So.
But I mean, I guess I could understand him maybe a little bit behind the scenes, like what it's like to put the vlog together.
We can try to do it.
It's funny, we've done. They
don't usually do that well.
Yeah, before Jay was here, I've done a couple of these, like how I do the vlog, like showing the camera.
We've done two.
I think we've done, and they've done shit, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like people, you would think it'd be, to me, it'd be very interesting,
right? And
I would love it.
Me too.
If every vlog, because Casey Neistat has done that. There's Peter McKinnon does it all the time.
But those are like people that are like story, like their whole thing is about cameras and storytelling, where we're like animals, so it's hard to break away from that.
But you guys will start to see, I think tomorrow
or the next day.
I'm always confused.
I think the next day.
Yeah, maybe I'm always confused about where we're at in the vlog. But we have changed the vlog up a little bit over the last couple of days. Last few days, it's a little bit more storytelling and not as much me. It's more about you're going to see a lot more Lori, you're going to see a lot more Noah, you're going to see a lot more Jay the Entertainer. Even Jay and Anthony you'll see. We're trying to make it a little bit more like
the whole life,
the story of what we're doing, as opposed to me just talking about animals. And some people are going to probably be like, "I was just because of the animals," but the truth is that anyone can talk about animals. You know what I mean? I think what makes us unique is we have so much going on. We have BHB, we have the Reptarium, we do have music, we have interesting people, we have all this stuff going on. And most animal YouTubers, pet tubers, all the name, whatever, it's just usually one person, right? It's them and a few animals, Well, we have like 16 people on our staff or whatever, and we have a lot going on. I think that's an interesting story that I feel like I've neglected over the last 6 months. And so I'm sure, don't get me wrong, when we get into egg season and baby season and all that stuff, there's going to be a lot more content that's going to be like that, But that's, again, part of the story. But hopefully you guys will like that.
You'll see what we mean. It's like, it's really cool. I thought I liked it a lot too, and it was fun to edit.
What I've watched, I've liked. So I hope you guys will like it. And it's a little change up. So we're always trying to evolve.
Rosie says, "Hi, Brian and Jay. Just wanted you to know that my Savannah kitten has not eaten me yet. I love the podcast, and I want to start a wildlife rehab and sanctuary. Any advice about to start an online schooling?"
It's tough, I mean, so first off, let me just say that, you can start an animal sanctuary, a zoo or whatever without any schooling at all, right? I mean, really schooling for those things are just academic, I mean, you're not going to really use anything you learn in school. You're going to learn everything on the job. It's much like I said. I remember Jay Brewer from Prehistoric Pets told me when I was about to open up the Reptarium, I was out at his place like a month before we were opening, and I remember him saying, "I don't think you realize how much you need to know to run a zoo." Now, granted, we're not the Detroit Zoo, and he's not the Detroit Zoo, but we're both reptile zoos, similar size. He's got a little bit more square footage, but we're similar size. If we do this expansion, we'll have a little more square footage than him. It's no big deal. It's not a game. It's not a race who has more animals or square footage. My point is that and he was right. I did have a lot to learn. I think he might have underestimated me a little bit, like maybe I couldn't do it, because I knew I had a lot to learn, and I'm a pretty quick student. So we came up to speed pretty quickly. But we're still learning. We're still learning. I mean, getting Drogo the sloth was a huge learning curve as well, and we're doing well with that. So I think if you want, just make a game plan, make it happen, see what makes sense for you, and don't worry about like the schooling side of it. Just worry about like making your dream come true.
Sweet.
And don't get eaten by your. It was an F5, right?
Yeah.
I think it was F5.
Don't get eaten by it. Oh, and then Tyler said, "I'm from Wyoming, bro, not Montana." My bad, bro.
That's right, Wyoming, man.
I appreciate it. My bad.
Come on, man. We know that, man.
I totally
Come on. Tyler's our
listen,
freaking boy, man.
They're all beautiful places in this country. You would be happy to live in all of them.
But he was talking about cowboys and stuff like that.
There's cowboys in Montana. When you tell me there's not cowboys in Montana?
There is not one cowboy in Montana.
Yeah, whatever, man. I bet you there is.
Only Wyoming.
Yeah, there's the only place that they ever go. Let Roses Burn says, did things change? Because when I went to Reptile Land, we got a tour by Clyde's son, and we held a retic, baby gator, turtles, and pretty sure he showed venomous species too in the presentation.
Yeah, I don't know. There could have been private presentations that I was unaware of. They and things can change, right? They are AZA, which means they're really, really restricted on people handling or touching things. There may be certain species that they were allowed to. The majority of their species, they are not allowed to. As a matter of fact, the majority of the species that they keep now, they wouldn't, even their keepers would not be allowed to touch per the AZA regulations. And yes, AZA regulations tightened considerably over the last couple of years. So I don't know last time you were there. When I was there was no animals out at all, period. None, not one animal came out the entire time I was there. And again, I was there with the head keeper, Clyde's son, everyone. So I would think I would have gotten pretty decent access, but that's not to say that they don't. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. Still a cool place, regardless. I don't care if you're touching things or not. I like the hands-on experience, but I still think it's amazing. Their Komodo exhibit, second to none. I mean,
oh really? It's dope.
Fucking crazy. I mean, they fundraised like $250,000 for this exhibit.
Wow, that is
so it's
crazy.
like a $250,000 exhibit, and they were able to fundraise for it. I mean, they raised that money just for that exhibit. So
that's so awesome.
It was super cool. You know, I could only dream to one day do that.
Silver Cash says he can't wait to come visit, and he has otters in his lagoon every winter.
Oh my gosh! Well, just take a couple out and just bring them over here, man.
Yeah, we don't know nothing.
No, they're not Asian small cloud anyways.
Russell says, "Hey guys, it was a 33-year-old Blackfoot ferret. That was the one that."
Yes, exactly. Yep, there you go. See, he saw that too.
He's so smart.
Yeah, you're smarter than I am.
Yeah,
I said 30 years.
Yeah,
how dare
idiot,
moron,
more dummy.
No, but no, that's a great story, man, and I love that. And I it brings up that interesting. Thought, right? Is do we?
Yes.
Just because we have the ability, do we do?
Yes, 100%.
Right now, with something like a black-footed ferret that is already in existence, why would you not? Right. But a woolly mammoth becomes a little bit more of a question, like, should we, and then where does it stop, right? I mean, like, and I'm not saying, yeah, exactly. I mean, does it stop at a velociraptor? Does it stop at titanoboa? Does it stop at, who knows, right? And I don't know the answer to it. My passion for animals and stuff like that says, bring them all back, bring dodo birds back, bring everything back. But I think that from an ecological standpoint, that could be devastating. I mean, if you think Burmese pythons in the Everglades is a problem,
velociraptors,
velociraptors are a bigger issue, and woolly mammoths too. I mean, where do they go? Where if we clone woolly mammoths, do they just live in captivity, or do we release them in the wild?
What about all of northern Canada, where there's like not a lot of people and stuff? You got a lot
but
of room.
Again, what is that going to do to the environment to release something that has already been extinct for a reason? That it went extinct, because that's the way Mother Earth meant it to be.
That's right.
It's a very interesting topic, and I could see both sides' argument.
Yeah,
and I probably fall on both sides of the fence. There's part of me that thinks you do it. There's part of me that thinks we're going down a slippery slope. But I mean, who knows?
I agree with you. I think both sides are equally compelling, for sure.
Yes.
Pat Greiser in the building.
What's going on? I haven't
says,
heard
hey,
from
Brian,
you in a while.
Just stopping by. I have been down and out for a while. Have not much energy for anything anymore. It's good to see you and Jay. It's great to see you too, Pat.
I'm sorry, Pat. No, and I really hope that I know that you went through some things with some stuff. I really hope you do well. You're a wonderful person, and we think the world of you. So Pat, keep that head up. Remember, there's brighter days in the future. Control the things you can control, and don't control the things you can't. And remember, the only two things that you control are Thoughts and
minds.
actions.
Yeah,
Thoughts
I was
and
close.
actions. Thoughts and actions. So if you can't control it, don't worry about it.
You know what I'm saying?
And halt it.
Halt.
Yep. Hunger, anger, loneliness, and tiredness.
Tyler King.
Tyler, what's up, man?
He's crushing it today.
Seems like I just heard from him.
I know. He says roughies are about 12 to 1,500 mark. Roughies?
Yeah, oh, roughies. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, I didn't follow the market on the roughies, but they were like 7,500. You know, they were 15,000 a pair just like 5 years ago. So 12 to 15. I would buy one for $1,200. You know, I think they're worth it because they're cool. They're really cool. Yeah.
Silver Cash said, "How's the pond doing this time of the year? And do you keep any koi?"
Yo, this is so funny. I literally was talking about koi to Jessica 10 minutes before the podcast.
No way, really?
Yeah. So, because she was saying we should get a koi pond here. You know, like we should do a koi pond, indoor koi pond. So number one, I chose. I don't know if it's smart or not. I chose to keep my pond running this winter with the waterfall. Typically,
shut it all down.
I shut it down. I put the pump deep in the deepest water so it doesn't freeze, because it can freeze and mess up all your seals on your pump. This year I decided to let it go because I have a sauna in my backyard and I like looking out of the sauna at the waterfall. It's been really cold, but the water as of last night was still flowing. It was not flowing very much, so I'm hoping I didn't burn anything out yet. I'm hoping that as it thaws out, it's going to get going again.
That'd be perfect time.
I do not keep koi because every time I bought koi, herons have come and killed them all. So I don't know. So last summer we started the year with a couple koi. Left. That's all that was left, and they were dead by May.
Dude, those GBHs will crush them, dude.
Yeah, and so the whole summer we didn't have any koi in the pond. So I'd like to give it another shot, but I'm not sure. You know, but I do love my pond. Lori, not so much.
Nope, can't convince her on that one.
Yeah, I know.
Girl with Scales says, "I have a roughie, one of my favorite snakes in my collection. It's very curious, confident, super handleable." Amazing head scalation and eyes. Highly recommend.
I love them. I definitely love them. Big bites. You know, again, Johnny Weigel, the one that re-found them in the wild. He was a prankster, and he gave me a really mean, like 6-7 footer to handle, and it was at a reptile show in a place called Homebush. A couple hours outside of Sydney, and I remember. You know, I would, again, American, first time ever in Australia, and I didn't have any friends at the time down in Australia. And I remember, like, he handed me this thing, you know, laughing, and it just ripped me apart. I mean, it bit me and bit. It was on a Snake Bites episode. And, like, I bet 150 people were standing around me while this was going on. And I wasn't even flinching. It was just crushing me. I had blood just dripping down my arms. But I was so excited because I remember seeing the preserved specimen and then hearing the story of this. And then all of a sudden I'm holding one in my hand. And, but what ended up happening was that I made tons of friends. You know, that's where the start of all my friendships in Australia, which some of them are my brothers. I mean, I love them.
Because they're like, this guy's badass.
Yeah, these guys are fucking Yankee over
here. yeah, man.
Yeah, mate. He's fucking bloody oath. This guy over there. So I love her. I love him.
Pat Greiser came back and says, hopefully she can make it over here. She just needs to find a nearby hotel first and closest airport. And guess what? There's a hotel right down the street, and the airport is Detroit. Yeah, and it's right down the street. It's not that far. Yeah. It's like, what, 45 minutes?
Yeah, that's one nice thing about, you know, traveling into the Reptarium is that, you know, the airport's not super close, but it's not that far. But there's all the accommodations you can ever imagine. There's 30 hotels within 10 miles of here. Literally. And there's a whole host of really nice, like the Hyatt, you know, a bunch of other ones that are 2 miles, like 2 miles. No, that's the ones that's 2 miles away.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right over by the Home Depot area. You know.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
The Hyatt place is there. You've got Holiday Inn. You've got La Quinta. You got Comfort Inn. You've got
that Comfort Inn's where I stayed when I met you for the first time.
Yeah, and that's the closest one is the Comfort Inn.
It's literally right there.
Yeah, it's literally like a 5-minute, not even a 5-minute drive.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
Silver Cash said, "Good to see you back on the skateboard in one of the vlogs."
Yeah. I'd like to do that more, to be honest with you. I used to skateboard a bunch. I remember that, Jay, like before you were around.
Absolutely.
A lot of skateboarding, and I loved it, man. But
I love it too. I got a longboard back in my truck right now.
I just haven't done as much of that. So I'd like to get a little bit more playful.
Yeah.
I think that we've gotten a little bit more serious. That's what we're trying to do. This change in the vlog concept is to become a little bit more playful and
have some fun.
Have some more fun. And that a lot of that, quite frankly, comes with my mental state too, right? It was really hard to try to have any fun at all for most of 2020.
I know that sounds crazy, but it's not wrong. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, it's hard to do that and like put on an act. And we don't want to like make up stuff for you guys. We want it to be in the moment fun, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I can say, you know, I'm feeling more and more and more like myself.
Yeah.
You know, the light's coming on, like life is becoming more enjoyable again, instead of the grind of just like, I just want to get up and get the day over so I could go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Which was most of 2020, quite frankly.
Yeah.
You know, now I'm waking up. I'm even finding that I'm waking up earlier than I used to wake up, like wanting to get out of bed and start the day.
That's huge, man.
And that's
so
something
cool.
that that's only happened over the last maybe 2 weeks. That's been happening, and so it's starting to feel more and more like myself, and so so hopefully we can get, you know, more just more playful and whimsical.
I love it. Silver Cash says, favorite pizza spot. Got to make sure I get the best when I visit.
Well, dude, when you come, we'll go out and do some pizza stuff together.
Tivoli's, Green Lantern,
Tivoli's,
Buddies.
Green Lanterns, Buddies. There's a place called Louis that's really
Louis is good.
There's a few other places. As a matter of fact, you know, the Barstool Sports president was just in town. He does a
pizza thing, right?
A pizza thing, right? And he did like the best pizzas in Detroit. So we can hit any of those. There's something that's called Detroit Pizza. That's kind of like a no, I don't.
It's better than Chicago.
Yeah, it's like, but it's called Detroit Pizza.
If you've had Little Caesars deep dish, it looks like that, but it's better.
Right, because it's like there's mozzarella cheese is actually baked into the
crust.
outside crust, and it makes the crust like crispy, and it's just known for. So we'll crush Silver Cash. You come out, we'll take care of you on the pizza side.
Siri Whitehead says, hi Brian, did you hear what went down with ball pythons 101? Chris Searcy's statement about Texas ball python keepers. They were on MJ's podcast.
So
I know nothing about that.
So obviously, you know, number one, I will say that I feel bad right now that I didn't do anything for Texas, right? I thought about this. I really was out of the loop, to be totally honest with you. You got to remember, I'm not on one ball python group. I'm not on one reptile group. I really stay away from the reptile kind of drama, right? But that being said, I started to, because of the ball python 101 thing, and basically, I guess what was happening is we all know that Texas got screwed. You know, what I mean, power outages, rolling power outages, people without, you know, and they're not like us in Michigan. You know, they don't have generators or
insulation.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. You know, so I feel bad that I wish I should have been proactive. Is what I'm saying is in trying to help those people in Texas. I don't know what I would have done. Like, I could have bought like 10 generators and sent them down there or something like that, and just said, hey, you know, rotate these 10 between as many people as you need, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I could have done something. So I first off, I want to apologize to everyone in Texas that I was not proactive, and I just didn't even realize there was an issue down there until the ball python 101 thing. And the drama, I don't get into it too much, but basically I think that he made some statement, something like, hey, you know, take care of your own shit, or, you know, something on that lines. Like, it's not my problem that your animals are. It was something weird like that. And again, I'm paraphrasing, so please don't. I'm sorry if I'm out of whack. Point is that, I mean, he got destroyed for it, and you know, rightfully so. He got negativity because he made a statement that was very uncaring. Animals were dying. People were losing their animals. It's a horrible situation. That being said, I probably, much like most things, he probably got way more hate than he deserved, right? I mean, he made a mistake, probably something he wishes he could have taken back very quickly. Does it make it right? Absolutely not. I'm not saying what he did was right. I'm saying that, you know, does that make him the most evil person? And, you know, I think that oftentimes we overreact to these types of things. Doesn't mean that the situation isn't bad. Doesn't mean that the people in Texas didn't deserve better. Doesn't mean that, again, I personally am taking responsibility that I didn't do something. I should have, in the position I'm in my life, I should have helped Texas. And I feel bad that I didn't, because I really wasn't aware of the problem. And I wish someone from Texas would have reached out to me and said, Brian,
we need help.
Because not only could I have personally probably sent, $5,000 worth of equipment down there just for people, but I could have probably raised another $25,000 or $30,000 with my social platforms to help people down there. And I dropped the ball. I dropped the ball, and I feel terrible about it.
Oh man, I didn't even think of that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I just really, this all happened over the last 24 hours. That I was even made aware of it, I don't know why I wouldn't have thought of it. I mean, I was seeing things. But
I did too, and I didn't even think like that. Like I didn't think of like, oh, people snake collections out there, and we have friends out there that
well,
that's
animals, the weird thing is that we have friends that have animals out there, and none of them reached out to me at all.
Yeah, and I didn't see any social posts about them personally going through anything, so I guess it just didn't hit home.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. But I did in the last 24 hours or so start to see it, and I think now it's just too late. You know what I mean? Like I think that the power's coming back on, and things are rectifying, and I feel bad that in the future. Let me just put this out in the ether here. In the future, if there's some natural disaster around the country, reach out to me, man. Let me not only help, but let me help by using my platform to help as well. Like I can personally financially help, but I can also direct, much like USARK I talk about. I think that, it's a bummer that USARK doesn't use me to help their cause more. Yeah. Right. I mean, why would you not? I mean, I'm able to influence. That's why they call, social media guys influencers, is because we influence people to help in areas that we're passionate about.
You have so many ears listening.
Yeah, and so yes, I mean, for gosh sakes, please reach out to me, and for those in Texas, I apologize.
And a good segue. Disgusted. Ace said, disgusted by proposed legislations. Been in some dark places in my life, and this hobby's always been a positive aspect of my life. Yeah, and it's a positive interest to take part in.
Yeah, and we just gotta. Don't get disgusted, okay? You just got to fight it, right? We can win. Don't think that proposed legislation means there's legislation. Yeah. Proposed legislation means that there's a proposed legislation. I often say that lawmakers aren't evil. Most of them, some are, but most aren't, and most of them are level-headed enough to understand that when a bad piece of legislation is being proposed, especially if their constituencies and people about them make them aware of that. So that's our position in life, is that we have to make sure that the legislators understand our position as strongly as they understand our opposition's opinions. And so that's what we have to do. I'll say this again. Typically, an agricultural committee that's made of say 11 people, typically, most of their proposed legislation will get 1, 2, maybe 3 people responding to. Yeah. If we can get them 2,000 people responding to a proposed legislation of reptiles, think about that. If you were in their position and you were getting 1 or 2 people sending an email or a letter or a phone call on legislation, and then all of a sudden your office is inundated with thousands of phone calls, thousands of emails, thousands of letters, hopefully all polite and well written or well read, you're going to think twice about passing that legislation, right?
Oh, for sure.
And that's why we have to follow like USARK alerts and follow the lead of what we need to do to overturn these, or not overturn, but stop them out of committee. Because again, best way to stop a law, don't let it get out of committee.
That's right. Kyle says, been studying but wanted to hear your rundown on the perfect process to breeding locality boas. Peace and love from Huntington Beach, California.
Yeah.
Wolfga.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit difficult with so when you're talking about localities, if you're talking about like, Suriname, Peruvian, Guyana, Croquet, that's pretty simple. If you start talking about like specific localities of Peruvian, specific localities of Suriname, that's much more difficult, because now you have to rely on a third world country sending you localities of a specific, and that's very, very difficult. I've been down this path a lot. So I don't know which way you're going with it, right? Because there are people that are so anal about localities that, like, they don't just want a Peruvian, they want a specific locality of a Peruvian, much like you would see with green tree pythons. Most green tree pythons that come from that we're working with are almost all from Indonesia, right? But yet there's, biaks and I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, you could go down there's 100 different localities of green tree pythons, and even though they may look very similar, as a matter of fact, the vlog we put out today was talked about that with lychee geckos, right?
That's right.
I mean, to the untrained eye, a Bosie Island or a Yeti or a GT all look the same almost, right? To the untrained eye. To the trained eye, they may know exactly same thing with
Absolutely.
that. And so if you're talking about localities of specific, I want Bolivians, but I want them from this particular locality, that's difficult. But if you want just like, I want Bolivians, I want Surinamese, I want Peruvians, that's pretty easy, because they come out and people produce them, and they keep, most people, not all, but most people keep those pretty pure.
Sweet. Heidi says, shout out to Stephanie Whitaker. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Stephanie.
Stephanie Whitaker. Happy birthday. What's going on, Heidi? I hope Heidi's doing well, too. She seems to be doing good.
I know. She's going to be coming a few months, right?
We hope, if everything goes well. But, I talk to Heidi almost every day on Instagram. So,
speaking of which, Stephanie Whitaker's in the building through $20 on her own birthday.
Oh, my gosh.
Sending love to everyone.
Happy birthday, Stephanie. I hope that you have a banger of a day.
Yeah, she says, my birthday wish is happiness and good health for all. And thank you, Heidi Pfeiffer, for my birthday spoils.
I tell you what, I'm going to do, Stephanie, and this is I don't know how much 20 czars.
I think it's about $20.
$20. All right. We're going to do this. We are going to take your $20 and we're going to buy biltong. We're going to eat biltong on the vlog for you, Stephanie, because these guys have never had biltong.
What is it? Because it doesn't sound that good.
It's like jerky, but way better.
Oh wait, I did. You have told me about this. Yeah.
South African beef jerky, and so Stephanie, remember,
how do we get it?
There are places you can buy biltong now here in the United States. Okay. I see them on my Instagram all the time.
That's crazy. So we can buy see that on your Instagram.
I know, right? I know. It's weird, right?
What's on your Instagram? Now, is it like random sponsored ads, or do you see?
No, it's sponsored ads.
That's fucking crazy.
I say, at least once every 3 days, I get a biltong sponsored ad.
You gotta be kidding me, bro.
I swear to gosh, man.
Mine are only cameras and shit, so like, because they're targeted ads, so like they know you like jerky,
bro.
Like,
he likes that jerky. He wants that fucking biltong.
Damn.
Now, once you go, it's like, what they say, once you go biltong, you never go black. Wait a second. Hold
so THX Master says, hey, Brian and Jay, love the podcast on Saturdays.
Man, I'm so glad that you like it, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for getting me out of that, Jay.
No problem, man. Mike the jeweler.
Mike, what's up, man?
Our boy. He says, feed night for my biggins. So I got a tub full of rats. If only the future tenants knew. LMAO. Hope y'all doing well tonight.
Oh, my God.
I think about that all the time, too.
I know.
Having like a rat in the freezer, and people don't even know.
They don't even know.
They don't even know. And they come in your house and they're like, oh, yeah, I'd love to have dinner. And you're like, I got rats in the freezer, cockroaches in the bedroom.
Oh, my gosh.
Reptile life. Silver Cash says, if you could be Steve for a day, would it be Crocs or Snakes?
That's
a really good question.
See, a great one.
So that's why I like you, Silver Cash, because you come up with some weird ones that we got to think about.
You come up with some brain twisters. I still think it has to be Crocs, right? Because Crocs were Steve. Steve was his passion. He was great. He was a great snake guy. He really was. A really great snake guy, actually. But he was really Croc. And I've told this story before. I don't think I've ever told it on the podcast. Probably one of the most profound things I've seen as far as like a document. I was at Bob Irwin's, Steve's dad's house, and we had lunch and dinner that day there, hanging out on his property, and of course in his kitchen where we're eating dinner, there were just a whole bunch of Steve Irwin, pictures, like of his wedding and, personal family pictures. I mean, stuff you're not going to see in Nat Geo, you're not going to see in a magazine, you're not going to see on Animal Planet. But the one that was the most significant was there was actually Steve's first permit to collect crocodiles when he was 13 years old.
How cool is that?
So it literally was like a permit for Steve Irwin to collect crocodiles when he was 13 years old. And I thought to myself when I saw that, was like, that's where it started, right? I mean, if he would have never got that permit, he would never have been the croc hunter. Now, granted, his dad, people may not know the story. His dad was a plumber, okay? And they lived in Victoria, and he ended up getting almost killed in a mine accident where he was working. And and he always had done, Bob, his dad, always had done noose and croc removal. And so he literally had Steve, I think his sister and brother, I think he had two sisters. I think there were 3 kids. I know he had one sister. I don't remember the rest, but and his wife, and he moved them to Barroo in Queensland, which is way up, long way away from Victoria, in the middle of nowhere, and started a crocodile farm. Not a farm, but a crocodile like exhibit, which ultimately turned into the Australia Zoo, but didn't turn into Australia Zoo until after Steve became famous, right? Up until when Steve became famous, it wasn't the Australia Zoo. It was still this crocodile farm. Can't remember the name of it. I saw that literally at Bob's house where I was at. That sign is in his yard.
That's so cool.
Like the sign for the original croc thing. So they came up here and then came up into Queensland, and then Steve and him would do croc removals, nuisance removals. And ultimately he had this croc place, and then ultimately it turned into a zoo, and then Steve became famous, and then the Australia Zoo was birthed on that. So it's a really cool story. So I think you have to do crocodiles if you're Steve.
I agree.
Day. Yeah.
Berm Donor Python says, worked all week / today. Nice to relax and get my reptile fix with you guys. Next week is the Hamburg PA show, and I cannot wait. Brian, can we get any Hamburg stories?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there are so many Hamburg stories, man. Oh my gosh.
Hit me with a heavy one.
So, well, I mean, I'll tell you one personal one that, Hamburg back in the day was like, it was a good show. You would do like crazy money at Hamburg, but it's always, I don't want to offend anyone, but it's always been a pretty low class show. You know what I mean?
Hamburg.
Like,
for sure.
I mean, like Hamburg, like if you wanted to see what you really think reptile people, like the stereotype, tattooed, long hair, hasn't taken a bath for a month,
Stinky.
Just completely stereotype. That's not what reptile people are. It's what normal people think reptile people are. But those people are in Hamburg. And,
it's so true, dude. Hamburg's so rough.
And it was really hard to get into Hamburg as a vendor, I mean, really, really difficult. Now, you got to remember, when I first started doing Hamburg, it was like really like a good venomous show. Like when I stopped doing Hamburg, there was some venomous there, but it wasn't much. Like it was like a third of the tables were venomous back then. And so it was crazy cool. But the guy that was running Hamburg finally let me in, but he put me at a table right outside the bathroom doors. And if anyone visits Hamburg, those bathrooms are the most disgusting bathrooms. By the end of the day, you might as well have taken a poop on my table.
Oh, no,
because it smelled that bad. I was 5 feet away from the opening of the door. And for 5 years of doing Hamburg, I was at that spot, and it was always just terribly cold. It was in the summer, it was sweaty because there was no air conditioning. And it's just but it was I enjoyed it. I loved, even though it smelled like shit and it was
terrible.
It was terrible on all levels. It was an awesome show, and I look forward to it every single time. And
that was my only show I've ever been to, was a Hamburg show.
Oh my God, we had so much fun when we used to do the Hamburg show. It was always one of my most enjoyable. It was just a fun show, and I hope it still is. I have no idea what it's like now. It's been 10 years since I've been there. But I'm happy to hear Hamburg is back, because I didn't know if Pennsylvania was having
I didn't know that
shows.
either.
So good, and I hope it's going to be a banger of a show, and I can't wait till more shows open up, and I can't wait till we can participate, at least going as just viewers.
Let Roses Burn says 20 plus years ago is when she went to Reptile Land.
Oh yeah,
I remember it well. We passed the turtle around and it peed in my stepsister's lap. They said they only did presentations for over 20 people at a time, but we had 19 and they still did it for us.
Yeah, I would be willing to bet they don't do that anymore. I mean, I was thinking like if it in the last couple years, but I think that's
20 years ago is a different world.
Different world. I think that now they don't let anyone touch. I mean, I've been there probably 6 or 7 times, and I could be completely wrong. As a matter of fact, my one buddy Matt, that might even be listening, Matt Baronic, is one of my dear friends. He worked at Reptile Land as a zookeeper for a while, so he would be able to tell more than anybody because he was a zookeeper. But like I said, I went there and literally couldn't hold or touch anything, not one thing.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Maria said, when I meet you, Brian, I'm going to be like Will Ferrell and Elf with the mall, with the mall Santa. Like, I'll be like, Brian, I know him, and just showing support via super chat for the day. Can't wait to meet everybody.
Thank you so much. And I by the way, one of my favorite movies of all time is Elf. So
and always remember, Maria's the one out in Alaska, the halibut fisher.
The halibut. I cannot wait to go halibut fishing with you, Maria.
Dude, I had seen you break eye contact with the camera when you did that. You're like, I don't want to say it to her face.
Maria, we're gonna have fun, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have a blast.
When we come to Alaska, it's gonna be amazing, and I can't wait to meet you.
We have more news from the IBD saga from Scottish Rob.
Okay. All right. Wow. More saga.
I know. Who knows? He says, is there anyone that you know doing studies on IBD that may be interested in the two I have that could be for help for further studies?
Well, the guy to reach out to, and I don't know if he's still doing it, is Elliot Jacobson. He was the one that led up really all of the studies on IBD over the last 20 years. Again, I don't know if he's retired now. He was the head of veterinary medicine at the University of Florida or Florida State University. But again, Elliot Jacobson, he would be the guy to at least reach out to. Yeah. And then if he was no longer involved in that program, he would have certainly passed it off to someone that is. But I think Elliot Jacobson would be definitely the guy to talk to.
Silver Cash said, wow, 200 super chat. Happy birthday, Stephanie. That was the 200 Czar.
Yeah, Czar. It's a lot different than.
I don't even think you can do a $200 super chat. I think $100 is the highest you can do at one time, if I'm not mistaken.
Interesting.
Tyler King says he became fascinated with all the Indo-Australian stuff. What's cooler than a keeled scaled python? Yeah, and I agree. That's awesome.
No, I agree with you. They are really all amazing. I mean, it's a bummer we can't get more.
Yeah.
Australian pure stuff. I hope one day that changes.
I just wish they were smart in the way that, like, I get that maybe we shouldn't take all these animals out of the wild, obviously. But, like, I think, why can't you have, like, 3 or 4 people in a country that can, like, responsibly work with those animals?
Yeah, I think if the government...
Pick beacons,
I think if the government regulated it, it would make sense.
Yeah, I just think it's
the
smart.
thing that's interesting is what's interesting and weird is that the government was involved in bringing back, the saltwater crocodile porosis from the edge of extinction, right? Through the commercial trade of farming them and for meat and leather. And they do export the leather, So it's a weird thing that they would take an animal that was critically endangered, that is now no longer critically endangered, and not kind of understand that the commercial side could save the species around. So, and again, I know Gavin Bedford had reached out to me a couple years ago when he produced the first baby Owen Pellies, and he wanted me to give him $50,000, and then he would guarantee me the first babies that he ever sent over. And he was working very diligently hard to get permits to send over Owen Pelly pythons out of the country. The problem is that was a lot of money to put up for something that may or may never happen, right? It took him, I think, 8 or 10 years to get the permits to go collect them. So I think that if anyone can get legal permits to ship to private individuals, you got to remember, you can ship zoo to zoo, right? But you cannot ship zoo to private. So, and we're working on accreditation right now with the ZAA. And so once we get accredited, we may be able to bring animals in from Australia.
No way.
Possibly. I mean, it's a permit system that we'll have to work through, but I think there's a good chance. And there's a couple other things that, Jay, I'll tell you off the air.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about it. Let's shut this podcast down. Go talk.
That there's some chances down the road that we could be able to get some stuff.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Linda said, hi, Brian. Thank you for helping me with a 60-plus year fear of snakes. You are fabulous. Love this podcast. It's the best of all.
I love that, Linda. And I love when people that have been fearful for a long time break that cycle. And it's something we see a lot here at the Reptarium, a lot here at the Reptarium, almost every night, to be totally honest with you. And I remember there was this one older lady. She was probably in her certainly late 60s, if not early 70s. And this was like, not too, maybe she was, weirdly enough, I think she was like maybe my 8th or 10th Brian tour ever. Right. So it was pretty early on. And she came from Canada, and she was a really nice woman. And she came with her friend, and she was a widow. And so she looked like she probably had some money, just by, the way she dressed and everything like that. But she was terrified of snakes. And she said she had nightmares since she was a kid about snakes, like haunting her. And she said it was such a problem for literally her whole life that she somehow found me on YouTube and started watching to try to get some kind of exposure therapy.
Yeah, right.
And then she watched for like a year and a half, the vlog, every day. And then she decided to come to the Reptarium and book a Brian tour. She was like, I wanted a Brian tour. I wanted you to show me around. And I remember her coming and telling me the story. And I said, we don't have to hold any snakes today unless you're ready for it. I said, let's just settle in for a little bit. So we spent about 45 minutes like walking around, showing. I took out snakes. First thing she did was she touched her first snake in her life. And I didn't know if we were going to get any further than that, to be totally honest with you. And I didn't care. I knew that we had to take it on her pace, not my pace, right? I was willing to push it as far as she would allow me to push it, but not put her into an uncomfortable position. And so by about 45, 50-minute mark, we got to Perdita. And she finally said, okay, I'm ready. I want to hold Perdita. And I was like, that sounds great. She held Perdita. And then after that, she held about 5 or 6 other snakes, including Sunrise. Yeah. And then about 4 months later, she booked another tour.
I was going to say, because I think I remember this lady. Because she came with a friend again, or did she come by herself?
Yeah, she came with the same friend again.
Yeah, I remember this
I think you might have been, you might have been here. And she came back as a kind of like, and she held everything. I mean, like, she held every single snake that I would pull out. And unfortunately, then COVID hit. Right shortly, within 4 or 5 months of then, because I remember when she left, she goes, I'm going to do this at least twice a year. And then COVID hit, and I haven't heard from her since. Again, she's in Canada, so she can't cross the border. She can't come here.
We can't wait to see her again.
So I'm sure that once the border is there, we'll see her again. So those are the stories that really keep me inspired.
For sure. Jay came back and said, don't worry, Brian. I just sent that cameo yesterday for my son, Adrian. You did not miss it. Will BHB have Hognoses available this year?
Yes, that we should have hognose. Klubers are just out of hibernation, brumation, and they're ready to roll. And good, I'm glad. I will get to that cameo tomorrow. I'll get it to you tomorrow. But yeah, what are you looking up?
So I wanted to see what actually was going on. So Scottish Rob said he's seen new legislation in Illinois that would kill Tinley. So I just want to see what was going on.
He could look at, USARC, and it would go to Illinois legislation maybe. Is that the first one up top?
This is Alaska. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Up top. Animal program ban.
Wow, for real?
Basic ban. Animals non-native to the U.S. Being transported and viewed by any audience. The only exception applies to programs which the animals are not transported in a non-mobile permanent institute or facility. Violations, penalties, a year in jail. Nice.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad one. That's a pretty bad one right there.
Yep.
That's about as bad as it gets.
Yeah, so everybody.
So guys, usarc.org, go show them love, support them, follow them. We've got to kill that one. That's a rough one right there.
That's close.
Yeah, that's close to home.
That's
my buddy Scott Smith would be done. He puts on a show twice a month in Illinois. Obviously, Tinley would be done. That'd be a devastation. So
wow.
I'll reach out to Bob and Brian from USR or from NARBC as well and see what I can do to help that as well. But yeah, we'll be making some noise about that
for sure. V-Dog, have you ever thought about going into politics? You're extremely well spoken and knowledgeable.
Well, thank you. I would never go into politics, but thank you so much. I'm very passionate and I try to be as knowledgeable as I can about as much as I possibly can, probably more than I need, to be honest with you. I'm a person that really obsesses over knowledge of everything. I always say it's my curious nature that makes me knowledgeable, because I don't just want to know about animals. I want to know about politics. I want to know how it works. I want to know about
weather,
everything.
Whatever.
Whatever it is. I'm very curious. Even if it's something that scares me, I'm curious about it, and I want to learn as much as I can about it. But politicians are just terrible people. I mean, I agree. Listen, the system is rigged. It's broke. You can't be a good politician and be a politician, because you have to be a lobby. You got to take lobbying money. You've got to this hand washes,
or you're
that
not going to get put anywhere.
It's got to, it's just, on a very local level, you could be a politician and be a great person, and if you're a mayor, a city council member, stuff like that. But as soon as you start getting into Senate, Congress, gubernatorial, you become a politician. It's just a bummer. And I could never do it because I would be a one and done. I might get elected, but then I would be out after that because I would be shunned because I wouldn't take the shit, I wouldn't put up with this crap.
I agree. And V-Dog also said, we would love to hear about some of your plans for 3.0.
Oh my gosh, I'm so obsessed with 3.0. I think about it so much.
There's a vlog coming out. I actually think that's what I edited today.
Yeah.
So soon.
So yeah, very soon we'll have, and it goes a lot more into the details about 3.0. The biggest problem with 3.0 is that the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm thinking that it's about $500,000.
Yeah.
To do 3.0 if I'm lucky, maybe more. And for those of you guys know, I'm not a debt guy. I don't borrow money. I don't like to borrow money. So that means I'm going to have to spend $500,000 of cash and not cash, but
I know what you mean though. I know
money. And that's a tough pill to swallow. Don't get me wrong. I spent over $250,000 on 2.0. And I absorbed that, and it's not about like, can I make my money back or anything like that, but it's a lot harder to be like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money, and it would take a number of years to make it back if I were lucky, if nothing bad happened, so it's a big risk, but it's something that I believe will happen, and I believe that I will make it work somehow, and there's you'll see some stuff in the vlog, and then there's some other stuff that is really out there that you're gonna. I think I'll share more about this thing that I can't really talk about right now. That could really push 3.0 quicker than I maybe even I want, to be honest with you. But I can't say much about it right now. But there's something in the works that might change that pretty rapidly.
Sweet. Kyle said he was the one talking about the locality boas.
Yeah.
He says, for the locality boa breeding, I meant for Suriname boa. I was wondering if you could explain how you would go about it from start to end.
What do you think he means by that, Jay?
I think he's just asking, like, how would you,
what breed them? Or
yeah, I guess, what would be like? All right, so you're gonna start. You want to start breeding. You plan. You're like, all right, this male's going to these, and then what do you do? Do you cool down temperatures? Do you feed them more?
Yeah. So I mean, boas are so red-tailed boas are really not that different than Colombians,
right?
Other than the fact they are sometimes a little bit more difficult to breed success-wise, but you do the same thing. Typically, you want to start cooling them down just a little bit, not a lot. You don't have to cycle cool down is very dramatic because you got to remember these are very close to the equator. But cool them down a little bit. But typically, you want to put them together. People that seem to have the best success are like the end of September, early October. It's one of the reasons why I don't have that great a success with boas is because I can never put stuff together in September, October because I'm so busy with everything else. I don't start breeding until November, December, and that's often too late. So start breeding September, October, end of September, early October. Really start increasing food on females. Don't get your males too big. Your males should be relatively lean and mean.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
You get a male 7 foot, you're never going to, I'm not going to say you're never going to breed it, but your chances of breeding successful are go down. 5 foot, you want your male 5 foot, Okay. Your female can be 7, 8, 9 foot, and then just start really hammering with her food. Put them together. Sometimes you can do cycling where you maybe have 3 days in, 3 days out, 3 days in, 3 days out, or you can keep them in all the way. You can do whatever. And the one thing that boas, people that have the best success with boas do breed one-on-one. One male, one female. Don't breed one male to 4 females. Don't breed 2 to 4. Breed 1 to 1. And that seems to be the best success for people that have boas. So that's about it.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Paul says, just ordered my 3rd ball python for a breeding project. A year ago, I wouldn't touch a snake. Between the animal and anxiety advice you have given, you have truly changed my life. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it, and I'm happy for you that you got your snake, and that's what I want to do. I want to inspire people not only to love animals and do their things, but also the anxiety side is very important to me. And I'm starting to get. Listen, you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. You don't know what next week is going to bring, but I'm feeling more and more confident that I'm very, very close to the end of this cycle. And what I mean by cycle is that, it was a 10 months cycle.
Yeah.
March will be a year. So 11 months of anxiety, the first 6 months being really brutal, and in the last 5 months, slow progress. But it seems like the progress has accelerated over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that continues on. In the tools that I'm gaining, I really believe if I continue to be diligent with those tools, and those tools meaning meditation, mindfulness, gratefulness, and the list goes on and on, breathing techniques, all kinds of different stuff like that. I think if I continue to implement those things, that that'll change forever. Now, you got to remember with meditation in particular, if you meditate and you continue to practice meditating, it changes your chemistry, your brain chemistry, 100%. I mean, there's literally neurological studies on it. Yep. This isn't like hoopla. I mean, they have done studies where they see areas of the brain that really are your core for anxiety start to change. So meditation, I would say if I had one bit of advice to anyone with anxiety, start meditating twice a day. First, and remember, the most important times of the day to influence your brain is the first 10 minutes you're awake and the last 10 minutes before you fall asleep. That's when your brain is the most receptive to change, right? So I literally keep my computer next to my bed. And the minute I wake up, literally within 30 seconds I wake up, I turn on a meditative thing, and I go into a 10 to 20 minute meditation. And then I can't say the last 10 minutes I go to sleep, because I don't go to sleep as easy. I can't just fall asleep. Yeah. But I do, within the hour of me going to sleep, I do another meditation of 10 to 20 minutes. And that would be my biggest advice to anyone that deals with depression or anxiety.
Sweet. Let Roses Burn says, I lived in Hamburg. That's not the stereotype of just reptile people. It's everybody, unfortunately.
Oh my God, you lived in Hamburg. It's such a weird town, man. It's
another one too. Is that King of Prussia?
King of Prussia, yeah. I used to do a show in King of Prussia. Actually,
yep, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I remember that show too.
Yeah, I used to do that show, and
it's just a group of people, man.
I always say that the whole city of brotherly love thing makes me laugh.
It's laughable.
Because I've never been to a more combative city than Philadelphia.
Oh, dude, it's hardcore.
I mean, like Philadelphia, you go to listen, I went to a restaurant in the King of Prussia with about 20 people. It was a bar restaurant, not a restaurant, a bar restaurant. And they kicked us out for laughing too much.
Oh, no way.
They kicked us out of the bar and said we're annoying other people with us joking around.
No.
A bar restaurant.
That's insane, dude.
Do you realize how much money 20 people at a reptile show are going to spend at that bar?
Oh, my God.
I mean, I bet you that bill would have been $2,000.
Easy.
And they kicked us out.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, I had a lot of King of Prussia stories when it comes to Philadelphia area, and how you go to the store, and my gosh, those people do not like people.
No, dude. I mean, there ain't nowhere in the world that you're more guaranteed to get hit in the head with a bottle than Philadelphia. That's all I'm saying.
And it's so funny that I actually like Philadelphia.
It's my favorite
as a
city.
It's a beautiful city, but the city of brotherly love is a laughable statement, because is. I mean, it's got to be a joke, right? It
obviously comes from somewhere, but it's not there anymore for sure. Oh my
gosh, yeah, it's crazy. Maybe back in the day, like when Benjamin Franklin was around, it was like
scary,
great, but it's crazy.
Philly gets so nuts too, because the difference between Philly and New York is New York's so busy that it's almost less dangerous because there's people everywhere.
Yeah.
Philly, you won't see a cop for months, dude. They stay out of there.
It's wild. But like you said, love Philadelphia, love it. It's just funny. Certain places you have to understand. You get when you first go, you're shocked. You're like, what the heck?
Especially because you heard so much about it in your head, so it's the opposite, and that juxtaposition's weird.
It is.
Ryan says that ball python chocolate cypress pinstripe female you sent me is locking with my banana odd spot nose het clown male. My first pairing. Thanks for being positive.
That's a good first pairing right there, man.
You're going to start getting some crazy stuff.
That's wow, chocolate cypress pinstripe. That's a good one right there. Why did we sell that?
Lori probably got
Damn it, man. That was probably supposed to be a keeper.
Yeah.
I hope you produce something. Sell it back to me.
Thanks. I appreciate you guys. Berm Donor says, hasn't changed, bro. There's just something about it that keeps me coming back. I don't remember what his last comment was. Let me see if I can find it in my phone.
Yeah, it's all right. Well, thank you for whatever it is, but it hasn't changed.
Yeah, I know. I didn't find it. I'm sorry, man.
Keeps me coming back. Maybe Hamburg. No, it's Hamburg. I think
it was Hamburg.
Yeah, he was talking about Hamburg. Yeah, and so it hasn't changed. Listen, man. I when life is getting back to normal, and I feel great about traveling and being. Listen, I'm not like afraid of what's going on, but there's something there. The virus is serious, right? I mean, the people that say like, oh, it's nothing, they just don't know what they're talking about. It is something. Do I think that if I caught it, which I think I may have already had it, but that's a whole nother story. I think I'd be fine. I don't think I would be dead, but I might die. You don't know,
it's
right?
Not impossible.
It's not impossible. So I just personally don't feel comfortable walking into a room with 1,000 people or 500 people. I don't feel comfortable. You can feel comfortable. Anyone else can feel comfortable, and I will not judge you for that. And this is, Jay and I have talked about this before. It's like when you're in the 9th inning of a baseball game, you don't leave when it's a 1-1 tie, right? You stay till the end. We're in the 9th inning right now, people. We've done shit for 11 months.
I know. And then you go out and get sick and die? Like, come on, just wait.
I mean, at this point, we're so close to being able to be, I'm not saying we're going to be normal, but by July, everyone that wants to give the vaccine will get the vaccine by July. And we're already seeing studies out of Israel and other studies that are very, very positive that if we get past 70 or 80%, that the infection rate will be so low that it will be we may still have to wear some masks. We still may have some social distancing. We may have that for the next 8 to 12 months even, maybe even longer. Who knows? But I think we're going to be pretty close to back to almost normal by July.
I agree.
I just think that for me, I'm going to probably wait till June or July before I'm around hundreds and hundreds of people. But I may change my mind if things change. And that's so. When that does change, I will be back. I want to go to Hamburg. I want to travel to some of these like more obscure shows. Like, listen, I will go to Tinley because Tinley's great, but I'm not going to film at Tinley because there's 150 people filming at Tinley. I guarantee there's no one filming at Hamburg. So I'd like to go to Hamburg and film that place because
have a blast.
Wild, and we'll have a great time. And those are the shows that I'm really looking forward to going kind of highlighting over the next 12 to 18 months.
Aaron says, hey, Brian, as for ball pythons, what genes do you feel are underrated and shouldn't be slept on?
Okay, that's great, man.
It's a hard question.
It's a hard one because is there anything that's like, I mean, I think the Lori ball was slept on by me and many other people. And now I think it's becoming kind of coming out and people are starting to really jump on it, which is understandable.
Like that blackhead. I've never heard of it before going to
blackheads. I mean, they were around when Ralph Davis produced them.
Sure.
And I think it was just kind of slipped away a little bit. I think that's a morph that's too cheap, for what it is.
That's what I'm saying.
I think tri-stripes from a recessive mutation standpoint is probably really slept on. I think it's one of the cooler recessive mutations that people. Bongo is something that can make some pretty interesting stuff. Yeah. And not too many people are working on that. It's a little bit similar to the Cypress gene a little bit. I think that's why people haven't been as
because there's something that does that similarly.
It's super bongos and super Cypress, which are super Cypress can be genetically not well, but the super bongos are similar to the super Cypress.
Okay.
It's like analogous to lessers in Mojaves. The bongo is the lesser and the Cypress is the Mojave.
Got it.
But yeah, I mean, it's hard to say beyond that because so many of the projects are not really slept on. Everyone's really working them, but I think those are a few that really hit my head first.
Well, that's interesting. Ties right into this. Dominic says, is it true that all extreme gene ball pythons are het for tri-stripe? Lavender albino tri-stripe is my dream animal.
No, it's definitely not true. At least I don't think so because I have a bunch of extreme gene stuff and I've never produced a tri-stripe.
That's true, yeah.
And I bred extreme gene to extreme gene, so I have kind of these super versions of extreme genes, but they're not tri-stripes. Unless I'm just missing or maybe I don't know. I don't know the answer to that 100%. So don't
quote you on it.
Yeah, don't quote me because I'm not the ball python guru that I once was.
Elaine says, Daddy needs new shoes. So that's for your new shoe fund.
I actually, it's funny you say that. I do need some new shoes.
I know. That's why she said it. Remember we were talking about checking in?
Yeah, exactly.
We got your Daddy new shoe fund.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you that. And thank you for calling me Daddy.
Get the fuck out of here.
I know, right?
Oh, shit. Buddha's Balls says, hey, Brian
Buddha's
and Jay.
Balls. I like that.
I do too.
That's a good one.
Just saying hello, by the way. Love the Elvis enrichment feeding video this week. It was cool to see him thinking about what to eat. He loves them eggs.
He's a super smart animal, and I love watching him think.
Yeah, me too.
And that's the part that is so interesting to me about the behavior of reptiles. And I think it's something that, again, I've talked a lot about over the last, 2 years, and I almost feel bad that I didn't realize how intelligent reptiles were. I always thought they were intelligent to an extent, but didn't realize how intelligent they actually were. And I don't anthropomorphize things, right? I'm not that guy, that like, oh, I do, and for those of you guys that don't know, anthropomorphism is basically applying a human emotion to an animal. We do it with dogs and cats all the time and so on like that. I mean, a dog is a dog. It's not a person, doesn't mean it can't have love and emotion and all these other things, but it's not a person. Yeah. And a lot of people, like really will anthropomorphize their pet reptile. I'm not that guy. But I also see things that are irrefutable.
Yeah, dude, you don't understand.
Yeah, and so, I mean, when you see certain monitors, how they think and they're figuring things out, and snakes are much like this. I mean, Ivy, we spent some time with Ivy today, or really, I think the other day, a couple days ago, you'll see this in a vlog coming up too.
Yeah.
When I jumped in the water, and she literally... I mean,
ran like your dog would, or ran, but
yeah. I mean, she was in the water. She shot right to my leg. I mean, we're talking from the other side of the tank, right to my, but not to bite me, not to do anything. Just came and then just sniffed my leg a little bit, and then just swam around me and sniffed around, and then just swam away. That is thinking.
Yeah.
That is some sort of
complex thought.
Yeah, and it's so I'm amazed by it. And like I said, it's almost embarrassing that I spent 30 years not giving reptiles the credit they deserve for having these types of thoughts and emotion. And I feel bad about it, but I at least now know that I was wrong.
Oh, that's beautiful. Silver Cash says, I always love breaking people's fear of snakes.
Yes, it's great, man. It's one of the best things that we do by far. It's the most rewarding.
Scottish Rob says, great guest possibility. Phil Goss of the U.S. Ark.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. And he's on my list of people to talk to about that. I don't know where his stance is on it. I would have to talk to Phil personally to see, number one, I don't see him on a lot of podcasts. Don't know why. I don't know if he declines to go on it. He is in a position that he has to be very careful because if he goes on a podcast, the enemies of the reptile community will use everything he says against him. So that may be why he's not on a lot of podcasts, or I haven't ever seen him on any. I don't know if he's been on them and I just haven't seen him. But the other thing I think is a little bit is will it get too dry? Will it get too bogged down in the minutia of the process? And I don't know the answer to that. I think what might be more interesting, to be honest with you, is to have Phil and Kevin McCurley on. Yeah. And so, because Kevin's very, very politically motivated in part of the advocacy between U.S. Ark and all the fighting, and Kevin's been very integral in defeating many of these laws. I mean, as a matter of fact, a lot of people don't realize the Lacey Act probably wouldn't have gotten overturned if it wasn't for Kevin McCurley and Bob Clark. And Kevin was the one that kind of helped Bob set precedent that ultimately overturned the Lacey Act with Burmese pythons and all the other large constrictors. So Kevin's very intricate with it, and he's more passionate and more animated. I think Phil will be more reserved and might not be as interesting.
Almost like too professional.
Yeah,
or something,
and understandably. And then the other thing is I don't know if Phil would want to come on with me. I have no idea. So I will find that out. But it's something that I've written down. So yeah, 100%. I think it'd be good for the hobby.
Heidi said, are these people bored that they keep bringing in these new proposed legislation? It's ridiculous. Shout if we can help out from here.
Well, I think if you could send some mambas
some black mambas.
Some black mambas. If you could send them over to the politician's house, just mark them, candy.
Yeah.
No, please. No,
please don't do that.
Please don't do that. I don't want anyone. I don't want.
Disclaimer: if you do that, that is your fault.
I don't want Secret Service showing up at the Reptile anytime soon.
Try to kill Gretch Whitmer.
I heard Brian's trying to kill. No, I don't want you to do that. No, listen. Just the support you already show. And also, obviously Heidi is a big person in the reptile community in South Africa. I think it's important. I think that we've talked about her maybe starting an ARC, South African ARC. Yeah. I think it's a smart thing because, as the reptile hobby becomes bigger, you will have more opposition, and it's important to be organized. Yeah. And I think there's
fight for what's right.
Yeah.
Saturnine says, and this is beautiful, and I love this. Says, contacted reps in Oregon over the bill here.
Yep.
One responded and was just as concerned as we are. So glad I found out about the bill from watching your vlog.
That's great, and that's this is the thing, right? Is that most people don't realize when you get a response from a congressman, oftentimes they are as concerned about it as you are. They are. They're not like, screw the little people. They really do. Again, you're going to have maybe one or two people that are hardline, like, this needs to pass. But you will find that on a committee of 11, maybe 7 or 8 of them are like, this is bullshit. We're not going to pass this. This is wrong. This is radical. And you'll oftentimes get really great response. I've spent lots of time talking to our senators and congressmen here in the state of Michigan over the years. And I've almost always had great correspondence with them. Yeah. I mean, it's very rare that they're like, I don't care what you have to say, we're going through with this. It's almost always very thoughtful. So that's why I think people don't think that way. And that's why I think even like, you got to remember, there's a difference between local legislation and federal legislation. Like the feds are very divided. It's very political. It's hate this, hate that. It's a lot different when you get into the local representatives. So, so just keep in mind that it's, it's not a bad thing to reach out, and to have relationships is even better.
Oh, I love that too. Silver Cash says, your knowledge has given me the confidence I have today.
Well, that makes me feel good. And you're great, Silver Cash. I can't wait to hang out with him. I
can't wait either.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting.
Seth says, hey, Brian, I was here a couple weeks ago and then went to Miami. Just some more for the Otter Fund.
Thank you. Yeah. Seth he went down to Miami to Mario's place afterwards.
Get the hell out.
So yeah, they have some baby otters down there at Mario's place. I wonder if Seth saw them.
Let's take him back with us. He won't.
Oh my gosh!
You don't need to know nothing.
Oof. Yeah, that's a good one.
Hannah says, sending love from Canada. Love your vlogs and podcasts. You're an inspiration with how open you are with your battle with anxiety, and I hope I can meet you guys someday.
Well, thank you for your support. And again, it's like I've always said, it would be to me, it would be a travesty to have suffered as much as I have, and not share that battle with people. And Jay knows this. Jay has talked about this. I work. Obviously, the thing that I probably have that separates me from most people is my work ethic.
Yeah.
And I take that same work ethic into the fight against anxiety. It's a difficult one because you can't reason away anxiety. You can't outthink, you can't problem solve, you can't logic anxiety, but you can do the work. And if you do the work, it gets better, right? And when you first do the work, it may not get better, but you have to keep doing the work and keep doing the work, because there's certainly tremendous amounts of case studies that have proven that the work, the meditation, the mindfulness, the gratefulness, all the other things will make it better, right? And one of the things I always talk about is that stressful situations, anxiety, whatever the case is, will always pass eventually. Sometimes with me, it took almost a year. That's a long time. With some people, it takes 20 minutes. It just depends on the situation. And this is the second time in my life that I've went through this. Both times, I would say I got better a little quicker this time because I worked harder at it this time than last time. But both times took over a year-ish for me to get better. Again, the last time was probably 18 years ago, something on that line, 17, 18 years ago, maybe 19 years ago. I pray I never go through it again. I hope that 19 years from now, I don't go through it again. And I'm going to do everything I can do in my power to not make that happen and not make the same mistakes of the past. And as I feel, it's very easy for people, as they feel better to go back to bad habits.
Yeah.
And for me this time, I won't go back to bad habits.
Allison says, how would you recommend starting into meditation? An app or a YouTube video? I can never get my mind to calm down enough.
Okay, that's a great question. I love this question. First off, you got to remember practice is the biggest thing, right? I do think if you have Netflix, it's a great series that's called Headspace on meditation on Netflix. About 20 minutes per thing. It starts with a guy that was a Westerner, that lived, I think, in the UK, if I'm not mistaken, dropped out of society and became a monk. And now he's sharing his experience of being monk for like 20 years. And we're talking about meditating, from morning till night and living in Buddhist monks, with nothing, giving up your whole life. A Buddhist monk has nothing, right? They have no possessions. They have nothing. There's zero. There's nothing, no ties to the world. You are a monk, and that's all you are, And he brings those teachings. So I think that's, if you got Netflix, watch that. Second, absolutely YouTube, 10-minute meditations, 20-minute meditations. You can get guided meditations. And in the beginning, it's very difficult to clear your mind. It's very difficult to clear your mind. The more you practice, the more your mind will clear. And even with me now doing it for almost a year straight, 2, 3, 4 times a day, there's some days that I just can't clear my mind. But what you would do is you practice concentrating on your breath, number one. So if you concentrate on your breath solely, you can't think of anything else. If you're counting, and there's all kinds, like soma breathing would be like power breathing, 1, 2 in, 4 out, 1, 2 in, 4 out. If you really are concentrating on that, and then what you got to realize is thoughts are going to come into your head. And you look at thoughts as like clouds passing by. You don't judge them. You don't think about them. You acknowledge them. It's called noting. And you note them. There's a thought. There's that thought again. And you let it pass. And you don't ponder it. You don't judge it. You don't do anything. You just say, there's that thought again. It's a thought of this. There's that feeling again. There's this again. And you let them pass. And eventually, you become better and better and better at it. And actually noting, which is a type of meditation where you don't try to blank your mind. You let your mind think of things, and then you just note them. And noting is actually known to be better for anxiety.
Probably more effective.
More effective for anxiety in real life than trying to just blank your mind and be completely numb. Because it's very difficult to clear your mind. But I can promise you, if you keep to it, you will become good at it.
Oh, I love
it
that.
is a practice thing. You have to become...
Yeah, it is a skill.
Yeah, it's a skill. And it's like anything. You're not going to be good at it right off the bat. Impossible, especially if you deal with anxiety, because your brain is already thinking way too much. That's what anxiety people do. We think way too much. So it's going to take you time. But when you do... I used to tell people that it would be like a computer screen flipping from page to page to page to page to page, but so quick that my mind, it would be like blink, 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 blink. That's the way when I closed my eyes, my mind worked.
Yeah. It
was like literally going through thousands of pages on the internet all at once. And now I can close my eyes and it's completely blank, like no vision at all. And that just took a long, long time. So practice.
Simple Man says, have you ever thought about putting ropes around the ceiling of the Reptarium so Drogo could free roam around, or maybe the VIP room?
We talked about it, actually. Yeah, we did. We talked about it with our vet, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, because he was coming out of the room, remember?
Yeah, he was coming out of the room when our vet was here. I don't know. It's not impossible that I would do it. It wouldn't be in the VIP room because that's downstairs, and the weather, it's just not hot enough down here. But maybe a birthday party room or something like that. I mean, it's not impossible. It's something to think about.
For sure. Sleeping Lady Reptile says, love and support from AK, and that's Alaska, not Arkansas, Jay.
Man, you guys.
You know what's funny is that if you didn't tell me that, I would have definitely said Arkansas for sure.
You Arkansas.
Yeah.
Alaska, man, I love you guys, man.
We're getting there.
Why are we not there yet, man?
We got a couple more
places.
places.
It's a little bit too cold right now, but
yeah, I know.
Although there's like last year, there were times where I was following like Anchorage, Alaska. They were like 45 degrees. When we were like
dude,
20.
So the other day, it was funny because I was looking at this world map, right, and it showed like all, because everywhere's gotten hit with ice and snow. So it's like from northern Canada down to like South America, it's all white. Mm-hmm. And then Antarctica was 40 degrees. I'm like, well, I guess we're moving to Antarctica, the new Reptarium 5.2.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy.
JL Royal says, super random, and maybe you don't know, but it's worth a shot. I was given a xanthic ball python that was originally purchased from Petco. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if you have any idea what line it possibly is.
Be impossible to know, unfortunately. You said Petco, right?
Yeah.
So that would 99% would be coming from the gourmet rodent. I don't know what line the gourmet rodent is working with. I have no idea, and there's no visual way to know.
Okay.
Obviously, there's two major lines, right? I mean, you're going to have the snake keeper line and the VPI line. There's obviously Jolliffe line, which people I don't think anyone's working with anymore. And then, of course, there's Mark Mandic has a line, and I think there might even be one other line out there. But the two primary lines are snake keeper and VPI. If I were to guess, probably VPI. I would find it unusual that the gourmet rodent would have a snake keeper line, just knowing where they've gotten all their animals from. That being said, I don't think they care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think they care at all, and it'd be very difficult to find out what it is. But it probably did come from the gourmet rodent. So if you wanted to look up the gourmet rodent online and find some contact info, maybe give them an email. They might be able to tell you.
Berm Donor came back and says, what would Brian Barczyk do? In a refrigerator-style incubator, would you put the probe in the egg box or hang it in the center of the incubator? Trying to get consistent temps top to bottom. Thanks.
So thank you for the question. This is a difficult one. I built a lot of incubators in my time. And the hardest part with a refrigerator incubator is getting it right, because you have to have the right airflow without having so much airflow that you're drying eggs out, right? You can do either or. You can put the probe in the box. You can put the probe outside the box. But keeping in mind that if that probe is outside the box, it's not what's in the box. So let's say you want to have, obviously, 89 degrees in the box. If you put a probe in the box, or put a thermometer in the box, I should say, and put a probe outside the box, if that is 98 degrees and then the box is 94 degrees, you've got to go up 4 degrees. So your incubator might be set to 103 degrees to get to 98, right? So it doesn't matter. It's as long as you know what the end result is, which is the only thing that matters is what that box is. The actual incubator temperature doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. It just matters what's in the box. And you got to remember that the box will also heat up as eggs incubate, right? Yep. The fuller you get that incubator, the warmer that incubator is going to be, because those eggs are generating heat. They're growing and they're generating heat. So just keep all that in mind. And it is tough, I don't really like small incubators because they vary in
change. Yeah, they change so much,
so quick. When you have a 10 by 10 room like we do, not that that's feasible for most people, especially if we're only going to have a few clutches. It's not feasible, but the temperature changes so slowly that you can open the door and the temperature isn't going to drop 10 degrees. If you're in a 70-degree room and your incubator is 89 degrees, and you open that refrigerator door, your temperature goes from 89 degrees to 75 degrees
in an instant,
in 30 seconds, so there's challenges there, but ultimately all that matters is what that temperature is in the box. Whether you put the probe in the box or out of the box, as long as you know what the temperature in the box is, that's all that matters.
Silver Cash says, I definitely gained a lot of respect once I had to scrub my own tubs, both rodents and snakes.
Yeah,
scrubbing tubs will give you respect.
Yeah, and listen, this is what me and Lori and I always say is no matter when our crew are scrubbing tubs, we always have said we've cleaned more tubs in our life than you'll ever clean.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Like we haven't done, our crew never does anything that we didn't do for years and years and years by ourselves, So I think it builds character. And there's certain times that I tell you what, there's every now, I don't really do tubs anymore. Obviously, it's been a long time since I've done tubs. But there were times back in the day where I used to love it. I'd throw on some headphones, and
I was going to say
it was before
Raycons.
Before Raycons, and if I had Raycons back then, use the code Brian B. Buyraycon.com/Brian B. Is it Brian B or Brian Barr?
It's Brian B.
Yeah, Brian B. Okay,
Brian Barr's food.
HelloFresh.
Food guys.
Yeah, HelloFresh.
Food folk.
I'd have my Raycons on if I did that, and sometimes just losing yourself into washing is good.
Yeah, me and Noah talk about that all the time, how it's like a good place to like really lose yourself in your thoughts, think about stuff you might not normally.
Right.
Jake says, hey, Brian, quick question. The scaleless Texas rat I got from you bites me when I hold it. Is there any way to tame down this particular species, or are they just highly defensive as babies?
Well, they are highly defensive. It will calm down, okay? So as babies, they are struggling. Do not give up on it. I promise you, like we have, obviously Joker here at the Reptarium.
He's a sweetheart.
We do have some high-strung adults that just never handled, and they're still high-strung. But so Texas rats as a whole are not typically the tamest of animals, seriously. But that being said, as you got a baby, it's going to be bitey. If you hold it, it will calm down and become very tame. So don't give up on it. I promise it'll come around.
Mike says, snake you most regret selling rather than keeping.
Oh my gosh. There's a lot of them. I mean, as a group, I think as a group, I'm going to say groups instead of one snake, because I'm sure that God, almost every snake I've sold, I regret, to be honest with you, because I want to keep them all. But I do regret selling my Bismarck ring python group years ago. I regret selling my Dumerose boa group years ago that I was breeding. I had like 5 or 6 adult females that would produce every year. I had 4 or 5 adult ring pythons that would produce every year. And I regret selling my D. Albert's python group that would produce every year as well. So, those were huge regrets. You know what I mean? Like I look back and think, why did I ever get rid of those? I wish I would have kept them. But there's so many snakes that that's why I'm not involved in selling snakes these days, is because I bet you 9 out of 10 snakes that Lori or Steph or Beth or Ashley, whoever packs, 9 out of 10 of them, I would be like, let's not sell this snake. Let's keep this snake. So, I'm the wrong person to be involved.
Ronnie says, hey guys, getting here late tonight, much needed distraction. Please keep prayers coming for Texas and us North Louisiana folks. Still so many people here without electricity and water.
Yeah. Ronnie, we talked about this earlier in the vlog, and I spoke about how I felt, that I missed the boat on this one, that I just didn't really realize I knew that there was a problem in Texas and in some southern states, but I didn't really think about it from an animal standpoint and how many people were dying. Of course, animals are dying too. And I feel like I missed the boat on trying to somehow help, so prayers with you. I think you're almost over it, which is great, but it doesn't take away from what happened over the last, 7 to 10 days. And I feel like, I was in a position to I should have been able to help, and I didn't, just because I didn't really acknowledge the problem. I didn't realize the problem, and I regret it tremendously.
This person's name is Mandarin. It says, hi, Brian, my name is Mandarin, so call me Sin. Sadhguru. Meditation cured my depression. I know it's hard to want to try anything when you have anxiety or depression, but somehow it works wonders.
You guys may not know this, but I'm a huge Sadhguru fan.
We talk about him all the time.
I literally love Sadhguru. If anyone doesn't know who he is, you need to follow him very, very much. I mean, he's a
peaceful, beautiful man.
He's a yogi, and a tremendous. I mean, if you listen to and puts out a tremendous amount of content, Sadie does, and
he's on the talk.
Yeah, he's on the TikTok. He's on Instagram. He's on everything, YouTube. Very inspirational guy. The meditative side. I could listen to Sadhguru all day and learn from him. So and like I said, he's the Gary V of yogis.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he puts out an unbelievable amount of content. I mean, like he
40, 50 videos a day.
It's crazy, So yes, very good. I'm glad that you mentioned Sadi, because I'm a huge fan.
Allison came back to say, we'll check the Netflix show and the YouTube meditation. Thank you. Also a fellow Alaskan, -1 degrees last night, but 23 degrees now.
A lot of Alaska folk lately. Well, we're going to visit. Let's do a big meetup in Alaska.
Yeah, because
I realize Alaska's huge, but I think most people live like Juneau, Anchorage, something like that. We got to do some huge meetup and just have a bash up in Alaska.
Yeah, so Sleeping Lady actually, and I did see I'll show you these after the podcast too, because it's ridiculous. She sent me the Airbnb. In Alaska.
What?
And it's like a cabin with a big windows and stuff. Oh, dude, it's so badass. I'm telling you, you're going to flip out.
All right, I'm on my way, man.
But Silver Cash said, have an awesome night. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you, dude. Seriously, really, really appreciate you.
And Sleeping Lady said that she sent the info on Instagram. If you guys are interested, let me know, and I'll work on blocking it out for y'all.
100%, we're coming. I mean, it's not even a matter of if we're
It's
interested.
just when.
It's just when, and we've got to do this soon, because it's going to be amazing.
Maria said, how did the Granite Mex project start?
So it actually, interestingly enough, I don't know who started the project, but Mark Bell was the first person I saw that had them from Reptile Industries. And of course, me and him have a long history. You know, he was, you know, my mentor when I was younger. He was here in Michigan. Now he's down in North Naples. I think the largest collection of reptiles in the world. But he had the first ones, and my Mex came from him, but not the granite Mex. So as I was breeding my group years and years, I mean, probably 15 years ago, I would occasionally pop out granite ones just because they were probably probable hets or whatever the case is. And so then I would just keep them back and keep on rolling with them. So I don't know where Mark got the original granite Mex from, to be totally honest with you. And I don't know that he necessarily pioneered them. It was like kind of before my time of really knowing what was going on. They've been around forever. I mean, really forever, probably since the mid 80s, something like that.
Wow.
But there's not a lot of us that still are working with them. I don't know if Mark still does or not. And you don't see him around very often, but they've been around a long, long time, 30 plus years.
Jason, our boy from Morph Mixology.
What's up?
He says, hey, Brian and Jay, got to shout out Sensor Push for monitoring temps in my incubator and throughout my snake room.
I saw that. I saw some posts from you about that, and I was curious how that was going. Also curious about, I wish, I not that we have to air this on, in here, but I was curious. I know Tyler Nolan was supposed to be on with Jason last week, and it seemed like at the last minute, maybe a cancellation. I wonder what happened there, because I want to get Tyler on. You know, obviously we want to get Tyler up here. We're going to probably see Tyler when we go down to Florida here next month. But I was just, I know that for some reason he wasn't on, and I think Jason just said, hey, I'll have him on soon, so I don't know if maybe Tyler...
something maybe came up,
Yeah, maybe something came up and he ghosted him or something. I have no idea what happened there, but yeah, I would like to know what was up with that.
DV says, do you keep any Boelen's pythons, and what are your thoughts on them? I absolutely love their look.
Yeah, I have one Boelen's python, and they're amazing, beautiful, incredible animals. Very unique animals, quirky. Very different, quirky animals. It's something like I've never worked with before. We got ours last year in March, and so we've had it for almost a year, and it's really beautiful. So it's an animal that will hopefully be adding to the Reptarium at 3.0.
Mr. Simple Man says, have you ever thought about getting any newts? The great crested newts look awesome.
I love newts and salamanders. I love all that stuff, and that's something that might go into 3.0. The biggest problem with not all newts, but a lot of newts and a lot of salamanders, they need to be kept kind of cool. And of course, we're pretty warm here, so in the Reptarium, not at Michigan, but in the Reptarium. It's I don't know. And the other thing is, quite frankly, I'll be completely honest about it, is the fact that I don't know a lot about newts and salamanders as far as cares, so I would need to learn a lot more.
They're little litmus papers. They need a perfect environment, like alkalinity and all that stuff.
So I would need to know a lot more about them before I'd feel comfortable adding them. But I could see doing it for sure, because I've always been. I used to go nuding.
I know,
when
me
I
too.
was younger, I used to go nuding when I was younger.
We talked about that, yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's coming up. Usually the third week in March is the best.
Right when it thaws, right?
Yeah, it's literally, we used to catch newts on the ice.
Oh, get out. That's so cool.
On the ice.
I've never even seen that before.
Yeah. So it's like usually about the third week of March is when they start. They call it, they run, they call it the newt run. And you'll see thousands of them. Thousands. If you know where to go, Jefferson's newts here in Michigan, which were supposedly endangered, but there are tens of thousands of them if you know where to look. But sometimes surveys will get done. They'll go out and they'll survey, and they'll be like, "Oh, we've only seen 5 newts," but it's because you went,
Well, they actually have like a weird like way of measuring that stuff too. They take like a yardstick. Mm-hmm. It's 4 yardsticks taped to each other, so it almost square yard, and they'll throw it and like count that area, and then do that a couple times, and then make an assessment.
Yep. We only saw 14 this week, and it's like, but if you go on the right day, you'll see 14,000.
Exactly.
I used to go newting when I was young. It was awesome.
Silver Cash says, "Oh my God, Sadhguru, between him and you, definitely my go-to."
That's awesome, man. I'm telling you,
you're on with Sadi.
Sadi is there's no way I'm in Sadi's.
You're on there.
But no, Sadi Guru is the man, and so of course our boy Stuart at Universal Rocks is the one that turned me on to Sadi.
Yeah, he's a big Sadi head,
and he is he sends me clips of Sadi Guru all the time. But yeah, no,
do you think Sadi uploads his own videos? Or do you think as a team?
No, he's definitely.
I couldn't imagine him being like, "Oh my god, I hope this goes viral." You know what I mean?
No. I don't think he.
I wouldn't think he would use like internet type stuff. I feel like that's.
I don't. I'd love to meet him one day. I mean, that would be. I guess now when people say like, who would you want to meet? I think Sadi would be right up there with who's living today. Sadi would be top 5. For me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, top 5 for me.
Saturn9 says, love the podcast. So glad I caught it again. Always learn so much, and thank you for the meditation info.
Thank you, and thank you for your support on everything. It means the world. But I like that. Hopefully you guys like the fact that we just like kind of talk to you guys, and we're not like topic driven right now. And I think I love it. I love it. I love to, you guys hear things that I would probably never think to say on my own. You know what I mean? You guys ask me a question that I probably never think. And so I appreciate you guys more than you can imagine. And I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do.
Berm Donor Python says, thanks for the info. I could pick your brain for hours. What's a one-on-one conversation tour cost? LOL. Seriously, thank you so much. I mean, that's literally what the Brian tour is, really.
Yeah, I mean,
it could be whatever.
The Brian tour can be whatever you want to be there. And then, I wish I had more time to spend
mentoring,
just talking to people and maybe being on the phone. I mean, back in the day, I used to be able to, get on the phone, maybe even with someone that I didn't know and spend an hour chatting about reptiles and answering questions. It's just impossible now, I mean, I'm so scheduled. I don't, I'm not complaining. I'm very, very lucky in life, and I'm very fortunate. It's just to do things. It's just that, my schedule is
day and night.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I was up this morning at 6:30. I, of course, did my meditation, shower, did everything here. I was at the shop at 8 this morning. We close at 9 tonight. We'll get out of here about 9:30. I get home about 10 o'clock, and then I'll do my routine at night that I get done maybe by 11:30, 12. I get to go to bed. So that's like a normal. I mean, 8, 6 till midnight. I mean, that's my days. And like there was no time for anything today. I mean, there's no downtime, no sit around. I mean, we're doing stuff every minute of every day. So it sucks that I don't have more time, but that's just the way life is.
We need time machines. That's the real problem here.
What's Potter had to say?
She ordered her Bella merch today.
Oh, yeah. So let me talk about Bella merch. It's interesting. Thank you, Potterhead. Bella merch doesn't officially launch till tomorrow, but somehow things got kind of skewed, and we sold a whole bunch of Bella merch today because our merch company launched it a day early, which is fine. I have no problem.
Yeah, it was all Jericho.
But it wasn't meant to launch till tomorrow. So tomorrow's vlog, you'll actually see the official launch of the Bella merch. But already I think we sold 28 or 29 shirts today already.
Thank you guys, because that's probably mostly podcast people. So we appreciate you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's awesome, and there's going to be mugs and hoodies and. As a matter of fact, today I'll have to show you, Jay. They sent me the mug today, and they also sent me a yellow Bello shirt, like a banana yellow shirt. It's pretty cool.
You should wear it tomorrow.
And just wait till you guys see some of this merch stuff that's about to drop.
You guys are going to flip.
Soon. You guys are going to flip out, man.
Lane says, do all snakes release musk?
Yeah, they can. Not all do, but they all have the ability to, absolutely.
Silver Cash, you and Sadi Guru are definitely my 2 favorite positive people.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, Silver Cash, I appreciate you so much, and just to be in the same sentence. I always tell, if someone puts me in the same sentence with people like Sadi or Steve, Irwin, I mean, it's
like humbling, right?
It's not only humbling, but it's the biggest compliment you could ever give me, because I can only hope to reach a fraction of what they've done in their life, and if I can reach that fraction, I'll leave this world happy. Hey, there's my guy Matt Baronic that I was talking about him earlier.
Oh my God, how cool is that? That's this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Is it Sasabek?
Yeah, Sasabek.
Sasabek reptiles.
I think that it's a Egyptian god or something.
I was gonna say, I feel like I've heard the name before.
Yeah, I believe that Sasabek is like an Egyptian god, but
it says $2 for the pump 2. Florida trip still a go?
Yeah, so Matt wants to come with us to Florida.
Get out, really?
Of course I told him, fuck off.
Yeah, get out of here, Matt.
You gecko freak. No.
Gecko boy.
No, of course, like I said, me and Matt talk all the time. He's one of my very dear friends, and of course, I think the Florida trip is still on, and we just have to, commit to it.
That's it.
And what was the $2 for the?
I thought it was for pump 2. I thought it was like
what does pump 2 mean?
I thought it was like, hey, I'm going to give you $2 for the gas. to go down to Florida.
Okay. Okay.
Am I right?
No. Okay. Right. So this was an inside joke here. So people made it's Matt. You're gonna make me seem like a freak now.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this one.
So I rarely, like, I do everything in my power to pump gas on pump 2.
Wait, are you for real?
Like, 98% of the times that when I go
Hold on.
And Matt knows this because we talk all the time, and so he'll always hear me like at the gas station, like, yeah, give me, like this is now I do it, debit card, at the pump. But back in the day when me and him talked all the time, I'd go to the gas station, I'd be like, here's $20 on pump 2, and he noticed after a while that it was always pump 2, always pump 2, always pump 2, and
great observations, Matt.
And so that's what the pump 2.
So wait, do you still do that?
I still do that.
Why?
Every day.
Where did this come from? Because that's crazy.
I don't know.
Not a bad crazy, but it's just.
I don't know why, but pump 2 is like, I mean, I can go to other pumps.
Yeah.
But if I can go to pump 2, I'll always go to pump 2.
That is so crazy, man. I don't have like a relationship like that with a number, but my old guitar player did.
Really?
Like 3 ice cubes in every, all types of stuff like that. And I'm like, OCD, I'd be like, but he didn't have like OCD in the sense like it didn't ruin his life or anything.
No, same.
It was just like more of like a weird code he had with himself. Like,
I think OCD would be like, I couldn't pump gas unless
So now you're like going around to all these gas stations or waiting.
Or like waiting on pump. Like there's 5 gas pumps open, but I'm going to wait for it to pump 2.
Yeah, I'm
not
OCD.
that guy. I'm not that guy.
No, this is almost like more like a ritual.
Yeah, exactly. If pump 2's open, I'm pumping on pump 2.
I love that.
Yeah.
Simple Man says, hope you guys have a great night. Love watching you as always. Have you ever thought about maybe making membership option for checking in?
I don't know how I would. I don't know how that works. I know that YouTube has a membership, and I don't.
What do you like? What does that entail?
I don't know.
I'll look into it.
But thank you, Simple Man, for you're just like you've been crushing it, and I appreciate you too so much. So thank you so much for your support. But yeah, we'll look at the membership stuff. I know that we do memberships on Brian Barczyk.
Right.
Steph does it.
Right.
So I'm assuming it's the exact same thing, and then we would just put out special content for the members.
Okay, cool.
And so I think it's not a bad idea. As a matter of fact, I'll talk. So Noah kind of runs the back end of checking in.
That's right.
So I'll talk to Noah about that and see if he wants to jump in on that. It's a good idea. Good idea.
That's it, man.
Listen, guys.
Woo!
Let me just tell you guys, you are lovely. I love you to death. You guys made this night so much fun. You made it so incredible. I can't. I could never thank you enough. I seriously can't.
They carried this whole thing.
Yeah, you guys from day one, and that's what Jay and I said. Should we have a topic? And we said, let's just roll, man. Let's roll with the chats tonight. And you guys crushed it beyond belief. I love you, and I appreciate it. There's one more right here.
Yeah, Silver Cash said, I can relate to both you and Saudi Guru. Stay positive.
Thanks,
awesome.
Silver Cash. I appreciate you beyond belief, and I can't wait till we can meet in person. So again, thank you guys so much. I appreciate everything. I look forward to everything. Lots of really exciting things coming up, guys. Trust me, 2021 is going to be a banger. It's going to be really good. Thank you guys for supporting the podcast channel, our checking in channel. Obviously, you guys can also listen to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that type of stuff. If you guys don't want to watch it on YouTube in the future. So support us there. That's it, man. Thank you, Jay, for running the board tonight.
Love you, man.
So, all right, guys, I will see you on Wednesday on the Checking In podcast. And, of course, I'll see you tomorrow in the vlog. Tomorrow is going to be the launch of the Bella merch. So you guys keep a hold of that. One last one. Let Roses Burn.
Did you get the roach count? This is my favorite. Oh, we didn't get her the roach count. We'll get you the roach count. Let Roses Burn. Message me. I'll remember.
I don't even know what happened. I don't know. So we'll get on that. So anyways, guys, love you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye. And have a great night. You guys are awesome. Bye.